time it reaches us called how you say it, Kawesa? I keep trying to say
Isaias?
Isaias.
Is that right?
Isaias. Okay, Isaias is moving up the coast. It's coming to Philadelphia, and so it's going to be rainy for a little bit. So, hunker down, make sure that you stay dry and take care of yourself as we go through this. Whole lot that we have to talk about today, and one of the things that I want to talk about is the fact that that African Americans are now buying guns in ways that we haven't before. While various demographic groups are buying guns in 2020, African Americans account for the highest increase in gun purchases of any group, according to a new survey by the National Shooting Sports Foundation. Black men and women show a 58% increase in purchases during the first 6 months of the 2020 versus the same period last year. It's not the first time gun sales have surged following an event with national implications. Yahoo News reports that in 2012, more than 3 million guns were purchased after the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. After that tragedy, Americans feared stricter gun laws, so they bought more guns. And in the 8 years under President Obama, the gun industry grew 158% over fears of gun control. But why are black folks buying more guns now? I don't know, but I'm going to reveal something to you. I'm going to tell you why I bought mine. Black people have to be able to defend themselves. We have to be able to legally and responsibly own firearms. We have to be prepared to defend our homes and ourselves just like everyone else. But we have to know that defending ourselves has nothing to do with hurting each other for nothing, shooting each other for nothing, destroying lives for nothing. We can be armed with weapons, but if our community is going to move forward, we have to also be armed with love. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Clinical psychologist Dr. A.O. Marie Gooden joins Wake Up with Word to talk about how she's working to reduce gun violence. They're going to have a forum tonight online. Dr. Delana Wardlaw and Dr. Elena McDonald talk coronavirus. CNN commentator Roxanne Jones on Trump's plan to ban TikTok. Pastor Alan Cross on his new book, When Heaven and Earth Collide, Racism, Southern Evangelicals, and the Better Way of Jesus. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065 or toll free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at Forward. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, Manhattan prosecutors on Monday asked a federal judge to dismiss President Donald Trump's lawsuit challenging a subpoena for his financial records, emphasizing that their investigation extends beyond hush money payments and pointing to public reports of, quote, extensive and protracted criminal conduct at the Trump organization. Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance's lawyers have previously said the probe is expansive, and on Monday they pointed out that when the subpoena was issued, there were public allegations of possible criminal activity at plaintiff's New York County-based Trump organization dating back over a decade. Last week, lawyers for Trump filed an amended complaint seeking to block the state grand jury subpoena to Trump's longtime accountant, Mazars USA, for 8 years of personal and business records by arguing the subpoena was wildly overbroad and issued in bad faith. Trump's latest legal challenge comes after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled last month that the president does not have broad immunity from a state grand jury subpoena. And so, in a new court filing, Cyrus Vance wrote, "This new filing contains nothing new whatsoever, and plaintiff has utterly failed to make a stronger showing of bad faith than he previously made to this court." So he loses at the Supreme Court and then just files a new suit. This dude, I mean, if you don't know by now that this guy is corrupt, I don't know what to tell you. Why are you trying to hide your taxes? What's in your taxes, man? Why have you been hiding them since you ran for president. Why are you still hiding them now? Like, what is in your taxes that you're so afraid for people to see? I think it's criminal activity. I think he's going to get locked up at some point. I really do, because there's no way in the world. What are you hiding? What are you hiding? That's what I'm trying to figure out, Kwesa.
Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly believe that he's hiding something. It might not necessarily, it could be ties to Russia, it could be ties to, you know, other companies that are corrupt as well. I mean, the list is vast. We know that he is a horrible human being. I'm just gonna put it out there. We know he's a horrible human being. We knew that he had corrupt business practices when he was working before becoming president. We know this. We've seen the lawsuits. We've seen the things that he's been going through. So I'm also trying to figure out, how extensive are the background checks for when people want to become president? Like, how extensive are those checks? Because I feel like
the media normally does those checks. Right? There is no real background check. The only thing the Constitution says is that you have to be a natural-born citizen, and I think you have to be at least 35 years old. That's it. Right? And so the party will vet you or whatever, but if you win in the primaries, if you win in those contests, then you're the candidate. And the media does the vetting. The deep thing is this, that the media put out all of this stuff about him, and his voters didn't care. I really think that many of them were drawn by the racism. We love the fact that he's saying these things out loud that we think in our hearts. And I think other people felt like, well, my pocket's going to be fatter if Trump is the president. And so, you know, I'll go along with the racism as long as my pockets are fatter. And some black people did that as well. And that was only a little bit, you know, 8%, but still. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it, you know, everybody knew all of this stuff. We knew. And people voted for him anyway. Which brings me to story number 2. I was kind of torn between two things, but this story kind of got me. Black people are moving out of the country. They're calling it Blacksit, right? And it's been going on for a few years now, where black people are moving to places where they say they feel safer. Moving to places in Africa, moving to places in Mexico, moving to places in the Caribbean, because they feel like I'm safer in a place where I'm part of the majority. They focused on one particular woman who was in law enforcement and moved out of the country. But this apparently is a trend, Kwesa. And I want to know from our audience, is this something you would consider? Would you consider moving out of the country? Would you consider being part of Blacksit? Kwesa, what do you think?
I would consider it. You know, I would. I'd love to take, you know, my family with me. Like, I don't want to just, like, leave and then be by myself. But, I mean, that's why you had so many people go to Liberia, you know, in the past. I would definitely go to, like, you know, the Bahamas or, you know, Bermuda. Like, a place, yeah, like you said, where we are the majority. I feel that, you know, it would be beneficial to my health to just be surrounded by water and, you know, people who don't hate me all the time. And looking at people who all have a common mindset, you know. And so that would be nice. I would definitely leave this place.
Yeah. I know somebody whose son was killed by the police, and they left years ago after that happened. And so I find it interesting that after George Floyd, it's happening again. Which brings me to a sad story. Story number 3, a 7-year-old boy shot in the head Saturday as 3 men waged a shootout in front of his West Philly home, died from his injuries Monday afternoon, according to police. Zamar Jones was pronounced dead at 1 p.m., said Staff Inspector Sekou Kennebrew, a police spokesperson. Zamar was sitting on his porch Saturday night next to his toy race car and scooter when the men began firing at one another on the 200 block of North Simpson Street. The motive for the shooting remained under investigation, and police were still searching Monday afternoon for 2 of the 3 suspected gunmen. One of the men, Christopher Linder, 27, was in custody and will be charged with murder, said Jane Rowe, a spokesperson for the DA's office. Linder was arraigned Monday and held without bail on 2 counts of attempted murder, aggravated assault, and a host of related crimes, according to court records. Linder is accused of driving onto Simpson about 7:40 p.m. Saturday and unloading a barrage of bullets at a group of people standing outside, prompting 2 men to return fire. One of his shots hit Jamar in the head. So here's where I am. we can no longer play with this thing. Like, we've got to do everything we can to make sure that we are addressing this gun violence, however we have to do it, addressing it in our homes. If you know that your son is involved in this, right, then guess what? You need to be confronting him, right? If you know that there are illegal guns in your house, you need to be getting them out. If you know that your child is involved in drug dealing, you need to be dealing with it at home, right? So that's part of it. Of course, the other part is that law enforcement has to do their job. But beyond that, for those who are on the cusp, for those who could go either way, we need to be extending a hand, man. Like, look, it's two ways you're going to get out of this thing. You either going to be dead or in jail. It's only two ways out. Or there could be a third way. You could change your life. You could do something different, and we can show you how. Like that has to be part of what we're doing, and we can't play with it, right? We can't keep talking about it. We can't keep meeting about it. We can't keep doing all of it. No, we need to figure out how we going to stop these brothers from killing each other. Bottom line. Like, you know, the time for talk is over. We need to figure something out. Now, I know for me, you know, what we've envisioned and what we've tried to do is to try to mentor, try to help, try to, you know, give brothers a different way to look at things, a different way to live, right? A different thing to do. But there are so many different approaches to this and so many organizations working on this. But we got to get serious about it, man, because our kids are dying. Nothing breaks my heart more than to know that an innocent baby that had nothing to do with any of this is dead because brothers are on the street shooting at each other and don't even know how to shoot. Because you're on the street shooting at each other, and for what? Over what? Over what? What is worth killing a 7-year-old child that's an innocent bystander? What's worth that? I would argue that nothing is worth that. Nothing. Nothing that anyone could have done to you is worth the life of a 7-year-old innocent child who's playing on his porch and has nothing to do with that. Nothing is worth that, man. So you know, I want to hear from you. What are your ideas? What are you doing in order to deal with this issue of gun violence? And if you want to help deal with it, you can, of course, get in contact with us, manupPHL.org. Go there, fill out the form, volunteer. We'll be in touch with you. But, I mean, in terms of other things that people are doing, I need to hear about it. I want to know what you're doing to deal with this issue of gun violence, because a lot of people can call and talk about what everybody else need to do. No, what are you doing? And I think it's gut check time for all of us. I think all of us need to be asking ourselves, what am I doing to deal with this issue of gun violence in my community? What am I doing to safeguard the lives of these kids? What am I doing to make different outcomes for our children who are getting caught in this gun violence, man? What are we doing? And if the answer is nothing, then guess what? You need to do more. We all need to do more, all of us, and all of us need to get serious about it, right? All of us need to get serious about stepping into somebody's life and making a difference. Real talk, like, our kids are dying, man, for no reason, for nothing. Everybody's all upset about George Floyd. I'm upset about George Floyd too, but I'm more upset about Zamar Jones. I'm more upset about him, man, because he's a helpless child. He's our child. And we need to do something to make a difference. So I want to hear from you about that. What are you doing? What are you willing to do in order to help address this issue of gun violence? What should all of us be doing to address this issue of gun violence in our community? I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. And would you be part of Blacksit? Would you leave the country? Are you at the point where that's something that you would consider? Would you move someplace where there are more black people, more brown people, where you feel safer, where you feel like I don't have to deal with this racism that I'm dealing with in America? Would you be part of Blaxit? Would you leave the country? Is it something that you've considered? I want to hear from you about that as well. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Of course, the president still under investigation by Manhattan prosecutors, still hiding his taxes. What in the world is he hiding in those taxes? I want to know, and I think you do too. So give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Of course, people can also weigh in on Facebook at ForWord. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. That's where you can weigh in and let us know where you are on any of these topics we're talking about on this morning's show. The other thing, I opened my show with this, that African Americans are buying more guns. And our numbers have gone up quite a bit in the last year. And I want to know what you think about that. Why have our numbers gone up so much in the last year? Why are black people buying more guns? I never felt in my life, I never felt unsafe in my community, even though I came up in a community where, there was violence, right? I never felt unsafe in my community, never felt like a gun was something that I needed. I did buy one this year. And I think that when you look around the atmosphere in America, one of the things I think as a black person you have to realize is that you do have to have a means to defend yourself in your household. Times are so turbulent, man. But it's not, for me, it's not about me being fearful of my own people. I never have been. I'm still not. But I think that it's about the atmosphere that's been created in this country. And I want to know what you think about that as well. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. What are people saying this morning, Kawesa, on Facebook? Of course, you can comment there at ForWord, FORWURD. That's FORWURD. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. Kawesa, what are they saying on Facebook?
Most people this morning so far are just saying good morning to us. Joey Temple, I see that you're watching. Good morning to you. Diane Gray, good morning. And also Verdell Ganges, good morning. Terry Lynn Davis Covington is saying, it looks like she's saying, you got to go to figure out why. I don't.
Skip it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But good morning to you. Thanks for tuning in. A. Malik Stewart is saying good morning as well. And then also Antoinette Bevins Pickens, good morning to you. And then also, did I say good morning to Diane Gray? Good morning. And then we have Amir Ali. Good morning. Ghettos breed violence. The Jews, Irish, and Italians can testify to this. When you see no way out, you go all out. Sad. So that's another comment as well. And then good morning to Cheryl Brown and also to Phyllis Williams. Good morning to all of you tuning in. And Delilah Levister and Casa Who, good morning to you. So those are just a couple of comments that we have here. And yeah, that's it.
All right. So we're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
So you just finished binge watching that entire TV series? Now it's time to binge listen at wordradio.com. Check out our archives of WURD on demand and listen to some of the most memorable moments from your favorite hosts. Word Radio on demand. Check it out right now at wordradio.com/podcasts.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Wordradio.com.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Blue Route 476 northbound north of the Schuylkill Expressway. An earlier accident has been cleared. Southbound Blue Route looking good as well. Schuylkill Expressway westbound there to the Vine. Watch for slowing there. Down the one lane with the ongoing construction. Eastbound 76. No major problems. Westbound Vine a little slow. Broad Street out through the Schuylkill Expressway. 95 southbound Cotman down through Bridge. Slowing there down to 3 lanes with the ongoing construction. Then again, Allegheny through Girard a bit slow. Northbound side, no major problems. Some rain moving through heavy in spots, so you do want to watch for reduced speeds as you make your way this morning. 55 northbound Deptford into 42, getting busy there. Mark your calendars. Express Employment Professionals is once again hosting National Interview Day August 6th. This special event supports hiring as businesses continue to reopen and business ramps back up. Apply online. Visit expresspros.com/interview day to find the location near you. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're waking up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Good morning. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We're talking about a number of things this morning. For those listening, we have an issue going on with our AM signal, but thankfully you can hear us on our FM signal, which is 96.1 FM. And, of course, you can hear us always in clear digital sound online. You can go to wordradio.com, click Listen Live. You can go to Facebook. You can watch us there as well as listen. And you can download the Word Radio app and listen to us there as well. So number of different ways that you can hear the show this morning. Of course, we want you to weigh in and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. A lot of things that black folks are doing differently, Kuwaisa.
The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for the following Pennsylvania counties: Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia. Effective until 8:08 a.m. the National Weather Service in Mount Holly, New Jersey has issued a tornado warning for southeastern Montgomery County, in southeastern Pennsylvania, northeastern Chester County, in southeastern Pennsylvania, western Philadelphia County, in southeastern Pennsylvania, northeastern Delaware County, in southeastern Pennsylvania. Until 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 7:22 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Philadelphia International Airport, or near Gloucester City, moving north at 25 miles per hour. Hazard: tornado. Source: radar indicated rotation. Impact: flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. Locations impacted include Philadelphia, Yeadon, Conshohocken, Folcroft, Paulsboro, Narberth National Park, East Lansdowne, Darby Township, Morris Park, Germantown, Bryn Mawr, Trout Lake, South Philadelphia, Radnor Township, Broomall, Roxborough, Chestnut Hill, Philadelphia International Airport, and Drexel Hill. This includes the following highways: Interstate 95 in Pennsylvania between mile markers 10 and 15. Interstate 76 in Pennsylvania between mile markers 328-349. Interstate 676 in Sylvania near mile marker 0. Interstate 476 in Sylvania between mile markers
under criminal investigation. That has been a perpetual thing, and it makes me miss Obama. You ain't never heard nothing about Obama under criminal investigation. He trying to hide his taxes. All these women talk about he sexually assaulted them. You never heard anything like that. Still haven't. You understand what I'm saying? And so to see this guy, man, actually sitting in that seat in the White House, to me, it's an insult. It's an insult to all of us that we would actually put somebody that needs to be perpetually under criminal investigation in that seat. He shouldn't be there. So, the Manhattan District Attorney, of course, Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance is investigating his enterprise, his business enterprise. They've been trying to get their taxes. The Supreme Court said he does not have immunity, so the president goes back, files another suit. And he's just going to try to keep this perpetually tied up in court. He's hiding his activity from the American people. What has he done that's so terrible that we can't see his taxes? That's what I want to know, and you should want to know that too. Also, talking about Blaxit. That's what they're calling it, Blaxit, right? You had Brexit, now they talk about Blaxit. So a lot of black people leaving the country because of they just would feel more comfortable in other places because of the racial turmoil, because of the discrimination, because of the stress of living in a place where you have people who you don't know what they're thinking. You go into every situation wondering if they're going to treat you differently because you're black. What kind of stress is that? And we're so used to it, we don't even think about it. But that's the stress that we live under in this country. So a lot of people leaving, man, black people leaving. Would you leave the country? I want to know what you think about that. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. And, of course, story number 3, a heartbreaking story. 7-year-old boy shot in the head Saturday as 3 men waged a shootout in front of his West Philadelphia home. Died from his injuries Monday afternoon, according to police. Zamar Jones pronounced dead at 1 p.m., according to police. He was sitting on his porch Saturday night next to his toy race car and scooter when the men began firing at one another on a 200 block of North Simpson Street. The motive for the shooting remains under investigation. One of the men, Christopher Linder, in custody. 2 other men still on the run. And here's my thing, and we talked about this last night at my house as we prayed for this family and really for our community and for ourselves. You big and bad enough to shoot a gun indiscriminately. Why are you on the run? Seven-year-old boy dead. What you running for? Turn yourself in. You know what I mean? You so big and bad, you shooting on the block. You know it's old people, you know it's kids, you know it's women, you know it's all kinds of people out there ain't got nothing to do with it. You shooting anyway. You big and bad enough to do that, turn yourself in. Turn yourself in. You know what I mean? You know, or you going to run like a coward. Like, what you going to do? Turn yourself in. I want to hear from you, man. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD, FORWURD. That's FORWURD. We want to hear from you. What are people saying this morning, Kawesa, on Facebook?
We do have a couple of comments here. So I'm going to go ahead and read them if I can pull them up for us. So we have, there we go. Natasha Nettles is saying, good morning, Word fam. Good morning, Solomon and beautiful Kawesa. Have a safe and blessed day, everyone. Malik Stewart, Philly Firearms is open for business and it's black owned and operated. They're open to get you what you need to protect yourself and your family. Terry Lynn Davis Covington says, if you don't have any violations that will hinder you from obtaining a gun permit, go and at least get legal. Even if you don't own a firearm, get the credentials. You don't know what they will come up with to infringe on our rights. So that's another comment as well. Diane Gray is commenting that she likes the music. And then also we have here, I'm trying to scroll it over, Amir Ali, jail is not the answer. We must re-educate and get our people on a more righteous mindset. So that's another couple of comments as well that we have on our Facebook page.
All right. So if you want to call in, you could certainly do that. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Talking about a number of interesting things today. Apparently, there is a trend of black people leaving the country. They're calling it Blacksit. So would you leave? I mean, is it that bad? Is the discrimination, is the racism bad enough for you to leave, to go to Africa, to go to the Caribbean, to go to Mexico or someplace in South America, someplace where the people are brown and you don't have to worry about racism as much? I want to know what you think. Give us a call. 215-634-8065 is the number. Stacy in North Carolina is on line 1. Go ahead, Stacy.
Hey, good morning to you both. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good. I actually watched her YouTube channel, Juliet from Blacksit.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and yeah, I think it's about time that we all plan to get out of this country.
Okay.
And get away from the stresses of living here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are planning to go back to the motherland. You know, there was a year return in Ghana, and a lot of people were there for that. But there's a lot of people that I know that are making plans to go and, you know, go and create jobs and create opportunities.
Are you leaving?
Africa. Eventually, yes. I'm planning.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
I mean, I'm not up and going anywhere now, but I'm planning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think for me, because my people built this country, and because they did not get paid. Before. You know what I mean?
But I think, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they built the country. They didn't get paid. All they got was misery. I'm going to get everything I can out of this country because we really are owed by this country. And for me, the reason I'm not leaving is because they put so much into this place. They built this place into what it is, and so I'm going to benefit from it. That's just me.
No, I understand it. I've heard that argument before. I just think I've gotten to the point where I think that we're never going to get reparations, and actually our reparations is our repatriation. So that's my view on it.
Okay.
I don't think we'll ever get reparations, but I think I've heard in other places where they're talking about reparations, and it's never someone laying out a substantial amount of money, which is what I want, instead of all these other things that white folk make up for you to have whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't need everything else. I don't need education. I don't need this program. It's always some programs and this and that. I need cold hard cash.
That's fine. But even if I don't get reparations, I'm making my own. That's where I'm making my own.
That's you're making your money. That's not reparations, though. I don't.
It is for me. It is for me because if I'm waiting for white folks to give me something, I'm going to be waiting until I die. And I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting.
Right.
So I hear you, but I'm not waiting. And I want to thank you for your call this morning on WRD. I think that, for some of us, it's like, okay, well, leave, but that's what they want you to do. I'm not leaving because they want me to leave. That's why I'm not leaving. That's part of I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Mike from North Philly's online, too. Go ahead, Mike.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Listen, the violence in the city seems to be escalating to the point where no one is safe. Men, women, children, old people, ain't nobody out there safe. And like you said, what is it worth to kill somebody?
Yeah.
Especially a child.
Yeah.
They're going to jail.
Yeah.
Because they're going to eventually catch you because murder has no statute of limitations.
That's right.
So you're throwing your life away. And it's like you said, why are you running?
Yeah.
When you out there gang banging or whatever you're doing, going to jail is a part of what you do.
That's right.
But they scared to death to go to jail. That's why they threaten the community and nobody wants to snitch. Second thing is, I think black people are buying guns because of the rise of the swamp people, a.k.a. Trump supporters. You know what I mean? I didn't know the swamp was this bad when Hillary said that.
I didn't either. She was right, though.
She is on point with that because these people are swamp people.
Oh, man.
And the very last thing is, Solomon, at this point, with the way this world is, this country is, not only will I leave this country, I will leave Earth. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, man. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Ed from Willingboro on line 3. Go ahead, Ed.
My brother Solomon, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I wanted to talk about the little boy and the gun violence. Now, the man was absolutely right about why black people buy guns. I've been in armed security. I did all of that before, a bodyguard, bounty hunter, all of that. And now with President Obama, a.k.a. Barry Soetoro, now I voted for him.
What you call him?
But now, Barry Soetoro, that's his real name.
Barry Soetoro.
Barry, he was raised by Lolo Soetoro. His grandmother was a banker who laundered CIA money for Bush and.
All right, well, just respect the man's name. His name Barack Obama, man.
Okay, his name is Barack Obama, but you got to read his history. Now, I voted for him twice, but there were more done for Native Americans. They were invited to the White House every year. They got money, LGBT, Hispanic. We just can't vote for people because they're black.
Is that why you voted for Trump?
Down next time.
Is that why you voted for Trump?
I did not vote for Trump. I voted for Hillary.
Oh, okay.
But she would not have. Her and her husband Bill have been worse than Trump. Yeah. I just want to get that in. I'll call you back sometime.
All right, man. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to Miss Mary from Winfield on line 1. Go ahead, Miss Mary.
Good morning, son, and how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
First, I want to say, if you don't keep that pressure down,
yeah,
I'm going to have to come up and defeat you, okay?
Okay.
And I feel your excitement. I feel your anxiety. I feel it all, sweetheart. Trust me. But we got to learn to keep ours below. Secondly, I want to say, no, I'm not going because my ancestors built and I'm staying right here.
I know that's right.
I'm not going nowhere. And thirdly, I cannot thank Word, you, Kawesa. I was going through withdrawal this morning because I couldn't hear you guys. I was walking around like, oh, my God, what am I going to do? I can't hear. I text Kawesa, and baby girl told me how to go on my tablet.
There you
something
go.
I never did. And
sounds great on a tablet, doesn't it?
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. But like I said, no, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to stay right here, and you keep that pressure down, my baby.
All right, I will. Thank you so Love you back. Love you back. Thank you so much. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WRD. It is, of course, Tuesday. So we're going to talk with Dr. Elena McDonald and Dr. Delana Wardlaw about the latest news on coronavirus. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters, we've seen enough. It's time to get together. We can do big things together, just like they did. President Obama and Vice President Biden passed healthcare reform, helped rescue the auto industry, and created more than 15 million jobs. And right now, together, we can help Joe Biden do it again as president, to unify this country and fix the issues that we're facing right now. Real police reform, expanding access to high-quality education, protecting our right to vote, and rebuilding the economy so that it works for us. Now is the time for us to rise up and do this together with Joe Biden. Go to joebiden.com/Black America to learn more.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for President.
Support independent Black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and see them if you need to? Do you have your doctor's cell phone number and can you call them anytime, day or night? At Dedicated Senior Medical Center, their only specialty is caring for seniors. Dedicated makes it easy to get the primary care you deserve. Doctors spend more time with patients than the doctors you may be used to. They offer telehealth visits, help you get your medications, and even make sure you get to your appointments. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, it's time to say yes to Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Call Dedicated Senior Medical Center today to schedule a visit and find out what you're missing. Call 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Appointments are available now.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about Black. Talk media. Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Be careful out there. Some crazy weather moving through the Philadelphia area as you make your way. Heavy winds and some rain in spots. So, again, you do want to use a lot of caution out there this morning. Westbound Vine Expressway, busy Broad Street out through the Schuylkill Expressway. Southbound 95, that's slow. Common down through Bridge through that working in Allegheny through Girard. Delays northbound 95. No major problems. Schuylkill Expressway, westbound, some slowing there to the Vine. Down to one lane there through ongoing construction. Eastbound side, no major problems as of yet. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476, looking good this morning. 55 northbound Deptford in the 42, a busy ride there. Mark your calendars. Express Employment Professionals is once again hosting National Interview Day August 6th. The special event supports hiring as businesses continue to reopen and businesses ramp back up. Apply online. Visit expresspros.com/interview day to find the location near you. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now, Dr. Elena McDonald and Dr. Delana Wardlaw. They are board-certified physicians, and they are twins. Good morning, doctors. How are you both?
Good morning, Solomon.
So, there is a lot of news this week around the novel coronavirus. Of course, they're getting ready to start the vaccine testing. I guess with I guess 30,000 people or more with the vaccine. Dr. Wardlaw, could you explain how that process of human trials goes at this point?
So with vaccines, again, vaccines are used to help the body develop a defense mechanism against diseases that we have not seen before, that we're not familiar with, so we can get the body used to fighting off that illness. So when you go into vaccine trials, you have to go through these phases. So phase one is we use a small group of people to see if the vaccine is safe. And then you go into phase two, and these are volunteers. You go into phase two, you expand that number to a larger group, and then you're also testing to see how many doses will be needed for the vaccine. Some vaccines need 1 dose, some of the vaccines need 2 doses. And then for the third safety level, you're also testing for safety and efficacy, how well the vaccine works, how well it's producing an immune response to protect your body, and also we're looking for side effects as well. And so when you go through these 3 phases, you are looking to see if the vaccine is working, if it's helping your body to develop an immune system, an immune response to help fight off the virus, and number 3, any safety issues that are related with the vaccine. So there are phases. There's a group, Moderna, that is in phase 3 of the trial now, where they are giving the vaccine to 30,000 volunteers to see how well that vaccine process is going in stage 3. So it is a stepwise process. It's not like it's just thrown out there to the masses to make sure that it is safe and that it does work.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of black and brown representation in these vaccine trials, Dr. Wardlaw, it seems like we are perpetually underrepresented in these trials. And from what I'm hearing from the listeners and in the community, nobody's anxious to be part of this trial. Why should people volunteer or not volunteer to be part of a trial like this?
Well, one, we should volunteer because coronavirus has shown that just by simply using the human behaviors which we have used to try to slow down the spread of the virus, whether it's wearing the mask, social distancing, hand washing, it has not been effective enough for us to get a grasp on this virus. And the most effective way that we have been able to put a cap on viruses and diseases in the past is through vaccines. Yes, we do understand the hesitancy for valid reasons why people are concerned about signing up for vaccine trials. But however, African Americans are being disproportionately affected by the coronavirus. We have to do something to get a cap on these numbers. Again, we need to talk to somebody that we trust, someone who can give us valid and accurate information so that we feel comfortable with these processes. Us not participating in the trials does not give us the accurate data of how we as African Americans respond to these trials. So it has to be. We have to understand the hesitancy, but we have to be able to move forward so that we can protect our communities, protect our families, protect our loved ones, because coronavirus does not discriminate. So we have to learn how to get past that. So that means talking to someone that you trust to be able to realize why these vaccine trials and why vaccines are effective and why they are indeed appropriate in our communities as well.
Okay.
And Solomon, and this is Dr. McDonald, if I can just piggyback on what Dr. Wardlaw just said. If we as African Americans and other brown people do not participate in these trials, there's no data on how the vaccine works in us. So we have to it's important for us to participate in these trials so that we have the best information out there possible. Because if we're not in these trials, there's no information there. But to Dr. Wardlaw's point, the distrust of the medical establishment is very real, and we understand that. Yeah. But we just don't want that mistrust to leave you out in the cold when there's an opportunity to have a vaccine that could potentially save your life.
So I want to talk about what's going on with the schools, Dr. McDonald. So parents, teachers, very concerned about opening schools and going to school in person, to the point that in Philadelphia, the school district scrapped a hybrid plan and said, okay, we're going to start completely online, at least through November. We'll see where we are after that. Dr. Fauci just came out and said that schools should open and that they can be operated safely. Where are you on the school issue and whether or not schools can operate safely in person right now?
So the one key thing is unfortunately it's not a one-size-fits-all. So when trying to make the decision of whether or not you should open up your school or school district, you really have to follow the incidences that's going on in your area. So you have to look at the data closely, You have to look to see, are we seeing significant rises? Have we seen a drop? Have we seen a plateau? And that's different for every part of the country. That's different for certain parts of the state. So you have to make that decision based on the data that you currently have. Again, we're always working on the current data that we have this day, and we know that every day data can change, but, they'll look at data from the previous week, from the previous 2 weeks, to try to make the best decision. What I tell parents is that there's no right or wrong decision. A parent has to make the decision for their child. You have to look at every instance. You have to look at your circumstance, your family circumstance. You have to look at the school's plan to reopen. What policies and procedures do they have in place to try to protect the children, the teachers, the cleaning staff, the principals, everybody in that building? What policies and procedures have they put in place? And at the end of the day, the school district has to make a decision, but parents also have to make a decision of whether or not they're going to send the child into the building. Mm-hmm. And there's really no right or wrong decision. You have to make the decision that's best for your family. But as far as the school district and an entire state making a decision, they have to follow the data really closely. Of course, New York may make a different decision from Miami right now. Miami may make a different decision from, Philadelphia right now. But the data drives it. And what we say today, August 4th, may very well be different from August 16th. And that is the struggle that we're dealing with coronavirus, with COVID-19 here. Trying to make a decision that is best for everyone, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. And we have to be ready to quickly change. And that's hard when you're dealing with millions of kids, hundreds of thousands of children, depending on what decision is made. What I will say is that if the decision is made to go into the schools, what parents need to be doing now is if they're going to decide, if they're trying to decide which way they're going to go, prepping the children now. Parents should be wearing their masks. Mm-hmm. Children should be wearing their masks. You can't expect a child to go into the building on day one and say, okay, this is what we're going to do now. Everybody's going to wear their mask, and everybody's going to do this, everybody's going to do that. We want to start prepping them now for what they will go back to and starting to get them into that behavior. But it's not an easy decision at all, Solomon. Mm-hmm. Not an easy decision. And we just have to look at the data and go from there.
Yeah. So face masks, of course, have been one of the things that have been recommended. And they've been controversial in some ways. People talk about you impeding on my freedom to wear this mask and that kind of thing. But now you have a lot of folks, who are saying, you know what, yeah, we need to put some masks in place. Arkansas is one state that put a mask ordinance in place. It's also happening in other countries where they've opened up. What is going on with masks, and are they as effective, Dr. Wardlaw, as we've been told?
Well, so the masks has been one of the main factors to help slow down this virus. So yes, the masks are effective. We do have to make sure that we are wearing an appropriate size mask that fits us. We have to make sure that we are wearing the mask appropriately. The mask has to be worn over the face and the mouth to be effective. The mask it's not too small because we don't want it to be uncomfortable and make you feel like you can't be able to breathe. Mm-hmm. And we don't want it to be too big where it can loosely fall off. But if you wear the mask appropriately, yes, it is effective. I do want to debunk a myth that is out there that the mask is preventing you from getting in enough oxygen or getting out enough carbon dioxide. That's not true at all. That is a myth. If you wear the mask in appropriate size, you should not have any problems at all. Make sure that the mask is not too heavy during these hot months. So yes, the masks have been shown to be effective, but what has been shown as of last week is people have been wearing those masks with the valves on them. Those masks have been shown to not really have been as effective in slowing down the virus because it's allowing things to get through that ventilator piece that is on that mask. But however, the other mask, the surgical mask, the cloth mask that people are wearing on their face, of course, the N95, the N95, those masks are very effective if you are wearing them appropriately and they are the appropriate fitting size.
Mm-hmm. Dr. McDonald, what do we know now as we learn more about this virus, about how it affects younger people, teens, children, people in their 20s and 30s? What are we learning about how it affects younger people?
But we are certainly learning that it is definitely affecting younger people more. And what we're realizing is that younger people, when the virus first came out, of course, it was affecting, people over 16 much more significantly. So we were focusing on that group. But as the data has shown, and of course, the behavior of younger people in their 20s and 30s, tending to go out to parties more, hanging out in close settings more, the disease has affected younger people also. We do know that children can carry coronavirus. Mm-hmm. They may not show significant symptoms, but they can carry coronavirus. So every age group in the population can absolutely be affected by coronavirus. So we cannot operate on the premise now that this group is less likely or that group is less likely to have it. Now, certain groups may show different symptoms. We know that children are more likely not to have severe symptoms, but we also know that children can carry. So we all have to operate as if we can get this disease from each other.
All right. That is Dr. Elena McDonald, Dr. Delana Wardlaw. Dr. Wardlaw, where can people find the two of you online?
You can find us at Twin Sister Docs on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right. I want to thank you both for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you, Solomon. Have a good day.
Stay safe.
All right. We are going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Check out the Source lineup on Word Radio. Mondays, get ready for the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith. On Tuesdays, it's Andrea Lawful Sanders. Then on Wednesdays, it's the Black Women's Leadership Council. On Thursdays, it's a second helping of Andrea Lawful Sanders. And on Fridays, it's Tiffany Bacon. Don't miss the Source. Monday through Thursday, 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. and Fridays, 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. Exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
He was the heart of your family, and he taught you our history. He helped you fix your first flat. He was the best backyard DJ around, and every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect, in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa, what's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage. The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at storycorpsconnect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share. StoryCorps Connect. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. Have an old working fridge or freezer in your garage or basement? Pico will pick it up, dispose of it responsibly, and give you a $75 rebate. That's right, $75. Plus, you can save as much as $150 a year on your energy bill by getting rid of it. Just schedule your pickup at pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE today. Be sure your fridge or freezer is plugged in and working at time of pickup.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Be careful out there. Some crazy weather moving through the Philadelphia area as you make your way. Heavy winds and some rain in spots. So, again, you do want to use a lot of caution out there this morning. Westbound Vine Expressway, busy Broad Street out through the Schuylkill Expressway. Southbound 95, that's slow coming down through Bridge, through that working in Allegheny, through Girard. Delays northbound 95. No major problems. Schuylkill Expressway, westbound, some slowing there to the Vine, down to 1 lane there through ongoing construction. Eastbound side, no major problems as of yet. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476, looking good this morning. 55 northbound Deptford into 42, a busy ride there. Mark your calendars. Express Employment Professionals is once again hosting National Interview Day August 6th. The special event supports hiring as businesses continue to reopen and businesses ramp back up. Apply online. Visit expresspros.com/interview day to find the location near you. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Words. You know what, Kawesa? There's like these little ads online, and it's like stuff that like looks really disgusting. Like there's one where this dude is like holding something he pulled out of his mouth. Like, you ever see that?
No.
It's disgusting. Like, what in the world? Why is that an ad, and why is it following me? Like, what? What is that?
I never really know. Like, I feel like, I mean, the cookies, you just never know what is being tracked. I just always like go in like a private browser because I'm so tired of like these random ads just like popping up out of nowhere. Like, there was one time that I didn't even search, like, I think I was looking up Allegra or something like that. I was like, yeah, I have to go to CVS for some Allegra or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just texted it to someone. I didn't search it or anything.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, on my Facebook, I see a bunch of ads popping up for CVS and Allegra. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Y'all read my text? I don't know.
Well, we had a conversation about something because my wife is like really into plants, and she mentioned a specific, I guess, website. And started getting like ads for it.
Yep.
We
Siri
were just
listens.
Talking.
She be listening.
Like, yo, bruh. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. So there's a thing called Blacksit, where black people are like, you know what? I'm tired of the racism. I'm tired of discrimination. I'm leaving. Black people leaving America, moving to Caribbean countries or Africa or places in South America, places where the people are black and brown because they're tired of the racism. Would you leave? I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. The other thing that's happening is that black people are buying more guns. Black men and women show a 58% increase in purchases during the first 6 months of 2020 versus the same period last year. And why are black people buying more guns now? I don't know, but I'll tell you why I bought mine. Black people have to be able to defend themselves. We have to be able to legally and responsibly own firearms. We have to be prepared to defend our homes and ourselves just like everyone else. But we have to know that defending ourselves has nothing to do with hurting each other for nothing, shooting each other for nothing, destroying lives for nothing. We can be armed with weapons, but if our community is going to move forward, we also need to be armed with love. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show, including our top three stories, which include story number one. Manhattan prosecutors on Monday asked a federal judge to dismiss President Donald Trump's lawsuit challenging a subpoena for his financial records, emphasizing that their investigation extends beyond hush money payments and pointing to public reports of extensive and protracted, that means long time, criminal conduct at the Trump organization. What do you think about it? Story number 2, of course, people leaving. Black people like, you know what, we out, peace. Going to Africa, going to the Caribbean, going to South America. Tired of the racism, would you leave? And, of course, story number 3, a heartbreaking story. 7-year-old boy shot in the head Saturday as 3 men waged a shootout in front of his West Philadelphia home. Died from his injuries Monday afternoon, according to police. Zamar Jones was pronounced dead at 1 p.m., and we got to do something, man. We cannot have these kids dying. That's beyond the pale. Because men decide that they want to shoot at each other on the street. I want to know what we need to do about gun violence. Of course, through Man Up PHL, we are offering mentoring and help with jobs and employments and anything to help you get off the street, get out of that culture, get out of that mindset like we are there. There are a number of other organizations that are working to do the same thing. There are a number of people who have started foundations after losing their own children to gun violence. But we have to have a cohesive strategy to stop these people from shooting each other, man. It's time to stop talking, time to stop meeting, time to stop, strategize. Like, at some point, we got to get some stuff done. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. And while I'm on that topic, I want to thank all of the people, man, who have worked with us through Man Up PHL, who have been working diligently behind the scenes to put some structure in place. Jasmine Slay, who is our volunteer coordinator, and all of our people who are working on social work and the care team and the fundraising team and our board members and just all of the people who've been working behind the scenes to make some things happen, man. But given that we are now having some of the restrictions lifted, we are going to move from behind the scenes because there is a whole lot that needs to be done. Of course, tonight we'll be doing our mentoring session online with Al Brown, talking about how you can get into the construction industry if that's what you want to do. Like, practical stuff, man, to help brothers do something different. But we got to do more. All of us. I got to do more. All of us have to do more. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. I'm going to go to the phone lines and talk to Gail from the Northeast on line 3. Go ahead, Gail.
Good morning, Solomon and Clarissa.
How you doing?
I was just listening about the young man, the little boy being killed. And we have to look at this. This is a community, and we all have to be part. And I am proud of you because you have been working. It's going to take a village. C.C. Kimmons and Herman Rice, they had their day, and they were community. People just can't call and say, oh, well, this should be done. We have to all be involved. And as a teacher, I was in South Philadelphia. I remember when that was, oh, my God, it was a big problem. And you had families warring and killing each other. And it has to be dealt with as a community. It can't be an individual. We have to work collectively. And we can't always say, well, this group is not doing this. We have to work as a collective. And going on to the Brexit thing, I'm with you. You work too hard in here, these United States. And the bottom line is, who's to say you're not going to face some kind of racism or whatever somewhere else?
Right.
Dual citizenship is a great thing. But right here, we put the hard work in. Yes, we should get some recompense for this. But if not, this is where we put the hard work in. This is where we made our life. This is our country more than anybody else other than the Native American. Thank you very much.
I hear you, Gail, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Eric from New Orleans is on line 4. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, God bless you, Solomon. Enjoy your show as usual.
Thank you, brother. God bless you, too.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth considering checking out Africa and the Caribbean. I think we as the people deserve much better than what we received here. As you know, we have the worst quality of life, whether it's medicine or legal, housing, sciences. We have the worst, and that's by design. Yes, we built the United States, but our ancestors helped build and put a lot of hard work in building up Africa, too. They were the first operators of sciences, agriculture, architecture. So we put a lot of work into Africa also, and I don't think we should just give up on Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other groups are interested in Africa, too. They understand the value of Africa. Not saying that you and others don't understand the value of Africa, but I think everybody else understands the value of Africa and the richness.
Mm-hmm. You ever been to Africa?
I think we should. I haven't been blessed to be there.
Yeah, I went to Africa. I went to Africa. I went to Ghana, and it was a life-changing event for me. It was a life-changing trip. I went there and wrote about the transatlantic slave trade 20 years ago. I went to Africa, and I will never forget that trip. I'll never forget being in those slave castles. I'll never forget being on that beach, looking out at the ocean and realizing that was the last thing my ancestors saw before they were snatched from Africa. So I do see the value of Africa.
Right.
And
what about dual citizenship? What do you think about that option?
I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Look at the opportunities and not just be single-minded. Now, I'm not saying single-minded in a negative way, but look at the possibilities.
Mm-hmm. No, I think dual citizenship is fine. I'm just saying I'm not leaving. I'll go visit.
Oh, come on!
But I'll go visit, but I'm not leaving. My people did too much, man, in this country, built this country, and you know what? I'm getting mine out of this country. And guess what? When I get mine, I'm going to share it with other black people who might not be able to get it like I can. Like it's like that. That's where I'm at. That's just my mindset.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying you can have the best of both. I'm looking at that perspective too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, your ancestors built up Africa, and like you say, you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears here also. So why not take advantage of both situations?
Okay.
I'm trying to look at it that way.
Okay, fair enough. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook at forward, FORWURD? That's FORWURD.
A couple comments here. Rovetta Everett Gilmore saying good morning. And then also Rebecca Truxton saying condolences to the little boy's family. Rovetta Everett Gilmore is also saying, Solomon, I believe the brothers on the street have to know what resources are available. We have to take the streets and share the information about what's available, like the Man Up organization. And so that was another comment that's there. Also, Phyllis Williams, that was so sad. I really don't know the answer. Some have guns and shouldn't have them. The guns don't kill. Maybe make it hard to purchase bullets or raise the cost. I don't know, but it has to stop. So that's another comment. Paula Anderson is saying, good morning to the Word family as well. Beverly Horn saying, I agree, Solomon. I'm not leaving. I'm getting mine from this country. Phyllis Williams, hey, you can't leave us in Word. He's not going anywhere. So that's another comment. Inanna Joy, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name incorrectly, but good morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning in here. And then also there were a couple other comments as well. Roxanne Jones, hey, good morning. We'll be talking to you shortly. But talk, Solomon. We have to be able to defend ourselves. Responsible legal gun ownership is one way to do so. So that's another comment that we have as well.
All right. So I want to hear from you. You could certainly give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Shaquille from the Northeast is on line 3. Good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Long time no hear. I'm going to stay right here. I ain't going nowhere.
I hear you.
We built this country from the ground up. Let's get off. Let's get what's due to us.
I hear you, man.
And on the young and on the little boy that got shot.
Yeah.
I hope the cops find the 3 people that did this before his family does.
Yeah. Yep.
That's sad.
Yep, it
and
is.
On gun laws, I think this. We have stricter gun laws. If we have stricter gun laws, And if you have a felony, you don't have a right to get a gun at all. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you.
Thorough background checks.
Yeah. Well, I know I went through one. So I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio, right here on WURD. Let's go to Rita. Rita from South Philly's on line 1. Good morning, Rita.
Condolences is offered to the little boy's family.
Mm-hmm.
Now wait till you find out what this was about. Just wait. Something stupid, crazy, will make sense. Thomas went to the bank yesterday. Wanted to get some money out, do a little shopping. Couldn't get none. So I asked the man, I said, is the ATM working? He said, only if you going to put money in because you can't take none out. I said, what? So then I said, is anybody in the bank? He said, yeah, they in there, but you can't go in. Got to have an appointment. I knocked on the door. I said, hey, I need some money. So everybody got the whooping and howling outside. I said, let's get out here before they call the cops.
So why didn't you go to another branch? You couldn't make it to another branch?
No, I just said the heck with it. But here's the thing. Any 2 times you in America, and you can have this country, because they're shipping everything out of here. You know what? America's going to be a communist hellhole. That's what they're going to make it.
Who's going to do that?
Huh?
Who's going to do that?
Because the people with money are already leaving. They moving money, they moving gold as we speak.
Well, they've been doing that. That's nothing new that people move their money offshore.
No, but here's what the thing is. It's not going to be no investment. It's not going to be anything, and you're going to see what it's like. See our credit card companies, a lot of them going to stop giving money in America. Just watch what I'm saying.
I don't know. I went to the bank yesterday. They just offered me one. So, literally, like just offered me. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
But
I ain't getting no more credit card. I'm good.
Yeah, but here's the only thing about Simon.
What?
You got to understand that, now you see the question that everybody asks when you go back. When I was a little girl, I said, Mommy, how come when the slaves were free, they didn't go back to Africa? See,
Some of them did. Some of them did. That's where Liberia comes from.
Yeah, only a few. But a lot of them stayed here. And not only that, the white man didn't take all y'all. Some of us were sold by our own people to the people. Now,
That's true.
When I talked to an African guy, he said, yes, that's true. I said, but when you pick up these books in the public school system, why do they leave that out?
Why do they try to call black people who were enslaved immigrants? Why do they try to call them workers? Why do they try to whitewash it? Don't just talk about them leaving out that part. The main thing that they leave out is the heinous nature of what slavery actually was.
But see, you got to look at the big picture too, Solomon. In order for that to happen, the Creator has the final say so. We did something that was very, very bad.
What did we do? What did we do to deserve slavery?
But okay, here's the thing. You understand the Creator can break it up anytime he wants it. But for some reason, it was allowed to take place.
Okay, I hear you, and I'm not going to argue that point. But, you know, I do think that when you talk about what's left out of history books, the main thing that was left out is how terrible slavery actually was, right? They try to make it sound like the slaves were workers. They try to make it sound like they were happy. They try to make it sound like it was like they were working in Walmart or something. You know what I mean? And it's not that. That's the main thing that's left out. The whitewashing of history is the problem. We're going to go to break. And on the other side of this break, we're going to talk with Dr. A.O. Gooden. Dr. A.O. Gooden. We're going to talk with her on the other side of this break about what black psychologists are doing to deal with the issue of gun violence. They're going to have an online session tonight, I believe at 7 o'clock. We're going to talk to her on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
The Dr. Emeka Show. Saturdays at 1 p.m. right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app. No fear, just facts. WURD.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, kind of work people more than 8 hours without overtime, kind of work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Some volume out there as you make your way this morning. Also watch for rain, also some gusty winds as well. So again, be careful as you make your way this morning. A couple of accidents on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, one eastbound after Willow Grove, affecting that right lane at mile marker 345.3. Westbound Turnpike in the area of Mid-County at mile marker 334.3. An accident there also is off to the left. Schuylkill Expressway, eastbound South Street to University Avenue. You're jammed there. Westbound Bear to the Vine. Watch delays through that construction zone west of that. Gladwin through Conshohocken, a bit of a jam. Delays all elsewhere on 95 southbound. That's heavy Cotman through Bridge down to 3 lanes with construction. Slogan Allegheny through Girard. Northbound delays Cotman up to Academy. An accident there now off to the right. 55 northbound Deptford into 42. A heavy ride. Mark your calendars. Express Employment Professionals is once again hosting National Interview Day August 6th. This special event supports hiring as businesses continue to reopen and business ramps back up. Apply online. Visit expresspros.com/interview day to find the location near you. For more traffic information, log on to signalert.com. Jim Bachman with the Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Oh. Pace through the hard times. From the 9 to 5 or just the world they see. But get your boogie shoes, there's a remedy. I insist that you be down and ready to party. Yeah. I insist that you relax and let it go, baby. I insist that you believe it's gonna get better. Oh, I insist you understand right now you can't do nothing better. So let it go and let it. Everybody's out on the floor, don't you know? I'm gonna can't do nothing better. So let it go. Set your troubles free, dance with me, lose control. Let it go. Every now and then it seems hard to find. Some have lost their way of love and peace of mind. And if there's any pain or hostility, well, get down on the floor, 'cause there's a remedy. I insist that you be down and ready to party. I insist that you relax and let it go. Oh, I insist that you believe it's gonna get better. Oh, yeah. I insist you understand right now you can't do.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We're joined by clinical psychologist Dr. Ayo Gooden. Her and her organization are doing some work around the issue of gun violence. Dr. Gooden, welcome to the show.
Morning. Thank you so much for inviting me on today, and good morning to all the listeners.
Yep. And so you represent an organization of black psychologists. What is it called?
It's the Delaware Valley Association of Black Psychologists, which is a chapter of the Association of Black Psychologists, which is an international association of psychologists. But I must say, we're not just psychologists. We include clinical social workers, counselors in drug and alcohol. We have a variety of people who work to help to heal our people.
And on the issue of gun violence, you guys are doing something at 7 p.m. this evening. Is that correct?
Correct. It's called an mbongi, and an mbongi is a Bantu Congo term used to describe a gathering of kindred people to examine and solve the issues designed to take care of our well-being. And tonight's mbongi is recognizing and eliminating institutional racism, addressing and healing those few blacks who commit violence against blacks. So that's tonight at 7 o'clock till 8:30. Zoom.
And so why'd you feel the need to address this specific issue now?
Well, violence is raging, certainly in Philadelphia, but actually it's a global issue. And a lot of times we don't address the root of behaviors that we see, and so we want to look at why is there so much violence. And certainly the United States is probably one of the most violent countries in the world, but it was formed in violence in terms of the United States. So, you know, the gun violence that we see is actually a result of establishing a country built around gun violence, and that's been maintained with gun violence. And then when you look at the institutionalized racism, where you take away opportunities and freedom from people, those people who have the least are the ones who are most angry and who strike out. And unfortunately, you usually strike out against those who are closest to you, to those who live where you live.
Yep, those who are in close proximity. And
absolutely,
we live in segregated communities, which of course is by design as well. And so what from a psychological standpoint, even a social work standpoint, are some of the root causes that you see?
Well, you know, the very basic is, first of all, your level of spirituality. If you are not a healthy individual, if you've been hurt, if you've been traumatized, if you believe the world is evil and bad and no one's ever loved you or cared about you, then you feel frequently, why should I care about anybody else? I've been hurt. Let me go hurt some other folks and let them feel what I'm feeling. Hurt people hurt people. That's the basic.
And so in dealing with this tonight, what do you hope to achieve during this Zoom, this Mbangi that you're going to be having this evening?
Well, we want to put forth solutions, because solutions are what we seldom talk about. We focus usually on problems, and we'll talk about the problems, obviously, but solutions in terms of healing people. That's what the Delaware Valley Association of Black Psychologists, or DVABPSI, does. That's what ABPSI does. That's what mental health workers do. But they need to be culturally specific to the individuals for the most part. That is, black people need black healers, because we need to understand what is going on and why it's going on, versus coming with stereotypes believing that black people are bad. We understand the nature of where black people have been traumatized for the past 500 years. And so we have to look at healing the trauma, but also providing those jobs at fair wages. It makes no sense to have wages of $7 an hour. How can you live on that? I'd be angry too. Somebody told me, you're only going to make $7 an hour, and I'm going to make you work maybe more than 8 hours. I know people who are being forced to work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for fear of losing their job. Okay? So we have to address equity, but I like the word freedom and liberation because equity implies I want to be the same as, and we should not want to be the same as whites. What we need to do is we need to have freedom to be better than, and that's a scary thought for many white people or Caucasians. And I think for black people it's kind of scary because we feel inferior because we've been taught, sadly, that we're inferior to them, and that has contributed to our state of anger, hopelessness, and helplessness. And we take it out on each other.
How do people get onto the Zoom call this evening?
Well, they can call, they can actually go to Eventbrite. That's eventbrite.com. And the conference name is Mbongi, Mbongi. Or you can go to our website at ddabps, as in success, I.org. And you can also, for dial-in, you can call 267-282-1062. And that's the number that you can call in if you want to just dial in to participate tonight.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right. We are going to go to break. Nope, we're going to go to the phone lines. We're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. So you can check out their Zoom right after you get off the Man Up PHL mentoring session, which, of course, is taking place tonight from 6 to 7. On Man Up PHL's Facebook page. So right after you get off of that, you can go and check them out with their Mbongi, which is going on around the issue of gun violence, some of the causes, some of the solutions. We, of course, will be talking about employment as one of the solutions and how you get into the construction industry with two black men who own their own companies in that industry. We're going to be talking with them this evening at 6, and then you can go right to the black psychologist at 7. We want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Kawesa, what are people saying this morning on Facebook?
A couple more comments that we have here. Okay, that's the question. I'll take care of that. And then Roxanne is actually saying, yes, responsible gun ownership means gun safety at home, firearm instruction, and education for the entire family, range practice. It's not enough to buy a gun and keep it tucked away, quote, just in case. And then we also have Arnold Thornton talking about, well, actually, I'll say this. Jeff McCrae says, people love conspiracies. Why? When the truth is just as right there in front of you. And Arnold Thornton says, that is true, Jeff, but sometimes the conspiracy is the truth. That is why we must always do our own research. So that's another comment that we have here. And then Shirley J. Carter says they leave out the reality of the severe brutality of slavery. So that's another comment that we have. And then a couple more that I saw that I wanted to grab as well. If I can grab it. Nope, maybe I can't. Gloria Gainey saying, good morning, Brother Solomon and Kawesa. Michelle Tulak-Neal, good morning to you also. A. Malik Stewart, the gun laws have never been the problem. It's fools with guns who are the problem. And those are just some of the comments that we have.
All right. So, of course, we are taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show, including Blacksit, right? So black people deciding, you know what, I've had enough racism, I've had enough discrimination, I've had enough America, I'm leaving. would you be part of Blackset? Would you leave? Would you go move to Africa, move to the Caribbean, move to South America, someplace where there are more black people than what you see here? I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Right here at WRD Kuwait. Don't worry, that was my sneaker. That was my sneaker squeaking. It's cool.
It's a mouse. I knew it. I knew it was a mouse. No, I'm sorry. You know I have problems.
I know. That's why I'm trying to calm you down. I know.
Appreciate it.
215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's go to the phone lines. Talk to Inanna Joy from Wilmington on line 1. Good morning.
Good morning, Solomon and Kuwaisa.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to add to the conversation about Blackset. I actually have an exit strategy that I'm putting in place. I studied abroad when I was in college, visited East Africa, had a wonderful time.
Okay.
And I really don't think that our ancestors went through everything that they went through so that we would have to be tied to the U.S. if we don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, certainly we have a right to claim everything that we want to claim from this nation that we built up.
Right.
But I think that they would be happy to see us express our freedom and our autonomy in exploring the world like everybody else does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily want to leave because of racism, you know, in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I can see, you know, from traveling and from studying other places that there's an opportunity to live a somewhat saner life in different places, to have a better quality of life in a place where there's more of a focus on community and relationships rather than just the accumulation of stuff and the stress-filled living that so many of us have here. It's so funny that oftentimes the reason why people want to come here is the reason why some of us want to leave.
Okay. So what is that reason? Explain that.
Well, I think that a lot of people obviously want to come here for better opportunities in economics. They want to have the opportunity to get the better education, which is obviously valid. They want to pursue the careers in engineering and, you know, the high-powered opportunities that may not exist in, you know, some of their own countries.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us who are kind of latching on to this Blackset movement want to leave because we want to get away from that rat race living. We want to slow down the pace of life. We don't want to die early of heart disease. You know, I'm 39, and I just had a friend who would have been turning 39 on the 2nd of this month die after having several cardiac events.
Wow.
She was my age.
Wow.
Just totally stressed out for years.
Yeah.
And so many of us just don't want to live that way anymore, so we're considering other options.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Would you be part of Blackset? Would you leave? Right? That's a thing now. Black people leaving America, just tired of the racism, tired of the discrimination, tired of the rat race, as Inanna Joy put it. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving, man. My people to pick cotton and everything else. I ain't going nowhere. Been whipped, beaten, raped. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. Nope. This country owes me, and I'm getting all of it, right? And redistributing it in our community by supporting black businesses, black people, and black everything. Like, literally, that's where I'm at this point. You know, I've just seen too much, learned too much. To just leave. Now, I'll go and visit all day long. I love Jamaica, right? I love Negril. And, you know, we go to a resort there. You know, the town around it, though, when you look at what's happening in the town around the resort, it's like, yo, you know, and that's why when I go out, I'm trying to spend money with them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah, I'm happy to go and visit black places. I loved my trip to Ghana. Loved it, right? Love going to Jamaica. Need to travel to St. Croix because that's where my grandfather's from. I haven't been. My family members have, but I haven't. So I need to go there to just see where my grandfather comes from. You know, but in terms of going to live someplace else, I feel like my people have put too much in this country for me just to leave. And I think part of my hesitancy to leave and my stubbornness about leaving is they want me to leave. Y'all want me to, I really ain't leaving. You know what I mean, Kawesa?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean, and I think the other piece for me too, because I know that, in the beginning of the show, I was like, yeah, no, I go. But the other piece is that, just because you go somewhere else does not mean that the weight of oppression and racism is not weighing there. We just talked the other day about how Jamaica was like, no, we can't, wear your dreadlocks. You can't do that. So, it's not going to be perfect anywhere that you're at. And I think that we have to also recognize the fact that, unfortunately, white supremacy is in a lot of places, even where there are people who look like you and I. And so I think that we just have too much stock in America. I can trace my history back, I think, almost 8 generations here in this country. And that's where it stops. I can't go any further back, unfortunately. Yeah. And so, I think that we owe it to ourselves really to fight for what's really fight for what's ours, because it is owed to us and we deserve it.
Yeah, we absolutely do. We absolutely do. I need to learn more about both sides of my family. I know one side better than the other. But, we have a responsibility to teach our children about our history to the extent that we know it. And so, I'm looking forward to be able to do that with my children. I think we teach them even through the interactions that we have, man. Every Mother's Day, I take all the mothers out in my family, right? And my grandmother has passed on, but I'm glad that our children had the chance, to know and to really interact with their great-grandmother. Like, that's important to me. I'm glad that they had the chance to interact with everybody in our family and to really see that living history before them. Like, that's important. And so we're going to continue this conversation on the other side of this break. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lantern flies, termites, bed bugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
The Word Radio newsletter.
Keeping you informed, engaged, and connected.
Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources.
Stay informed
with the Word Radio newsletter. You're waking up
with Word,
hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in. Of course, we're going to be talking with Roxanne Jones in just a few minutes, so stay tuned for that. You can also weigh in on Facebook at 4Word. We're talking about a number of things. Black gun purchases went up by 58% in the first 6 months of this year. It's not the first time gun sales have surged following an event with national implications. Yahoo News reports that in 2012, more than 3 million guns were purchased after the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. People thought gun control was going to take away people's guns. In the 8 years President Obama was in office, the gun industry grew 158% over fears of gun control. And I suspect because they planted that fear in people. Oh, President Obama going to take your guns in order to sell more guns, like they did that. But black folks buying guns now, and I think that it's about the atmosphere that we're in. It's an atmosphere that where people feel more comfortable being racist and acting violently on that racism. I think black people are quite aware of that and are responding to that by preparing to defend themselves. It's unfortunate, but it's real. I want to hear from you about that. Of course, our top 3 stories. Manhattan prosecutors still investigating President Trump. He's fighting a subpoena for his tax records. He's hiding something in those tax records. I want to know what you think about that. Blacksit. Yep, black people leaving the country, tired of racism, tired of discrimination, ready to go. I want to know what you think about that. Are you considering Blacksit? Are you considering being part of that movement to leave America? I want to know what you think about that. Story number 3, heartbreaking story. 7-year-old boy shot in the head on Saturday. Zamar Jones died at 1 p.m. yesterday. And what are we going to do about this violence? We're going to be talking about it this evening at Man Up PHL, of course, at 6 o'clock on Facebook, on our Facebook page, doing a live mentoring session about some alternatives, man, for brothers who want to get out the game, want to get off the street, want to do something different, want to actually live. We're going to be talking with 2 brothers in the construction industry, including Al Brown, tonight at 6 p.m. on Man Up PHL's Facebook page. I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Kawesa, what are people saying this morning on Facebook?
Got a couple more comments here about Blacksit. Walter Griffin Jr. Says, America will not stand for black people to leave. Look what they did to Marcus Garvey. That's one comment. Jeffrey McCrae is talking about conspiracies here. He's saying, no doubt that sometimes a conspiracy is the truth, but we've got a lot of truth that we can be addressing rather than stumbling on a correct conspiracy. And then Roxanne Jones says, I believe in Blacksit. There is no part of the world that black and brown hands haven't touched, no culture we haven't shaped or influenced. The Bible teaches me that the world is mine, not just my neighborhood. So there are a few places, so I feel comfortable in all places. That's another comment. Jeff McCrae says, I would not leave without a healthy severance package from this country. I hear that. Right. Michelle Tulak-Neal, I love Kenya, but I'm not going to live there. And then A. Malik Stewart, I fully understand the Blacksit movement, but leaving doesn't guarantee you a better life elsewhere. And then we have Carol Trimble Lee. Good morning, Solomon and Kawesa. Blacksit, where are you going? The cartels are running Mexico. Immigrants are leaving South and Central America because of high crime of all sorts, and they're in Africa, and where in Africa are their opportunities better? Racism abounds in a lot of the other countries. Why are people from all over the world still coming here? Please, I agree with you, Solomon. We can do our best to succeed here. And then Anita Winters Green says, I just thought the same thing. Where can we go that is not influenced by European values? Support black businesses, help our people lift and climb. I think I did see one more. Lastly, Gail Robinson, pain waits in many places in many forms, but if you listen to the people everywhere, or to the people, everyone is not happy, just like here. My daughter's father is from the Congo, and they moved the U.S. to escape problems there. Nowhere is perfect. So that's another comment as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they stay at war in the Congo. They stay at war. But I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. I can see both sides of the Blacksit argument that, you know, some people would want to leave. They think that, you know, you go someplace else, you live someplace else. There are mostly black people. At least racism is not your problem. And you know, I think there's some validity to that. But I also know that there's tribalism in other places as well. Like, people will find ways to separate themselves from each other and to discriminate against the other. Like, that's what happens. You know, wherever there are human beings, you see discrimination. Wherever there are human beings, you see tribalism. Wherever you have human beings, you see these false walls that we build between each other. It's interesting, man, because I think that that's part of human nature here. And in many other places, those false walls, those false separations are built on race. But in other places, they're built on ethnicity. They're built on, you know, all kinds of things, religion, right? And, you know, I would say this as well, that some of that is instigated by Europeans coming in and figuring out, okay, what are the things that you already have some separation over? Okay, let's exploit that. Let's make it even worse, because if we can divide you, we can conquer you. India is a perfect example. India and Pakistan were one country. Now they're two, separated on religion, right? That's the British, man. They went in and did that. You understand what I'm saying? If we can divide you, we can conquer you. You know, and so I just look at just the fact that discrimination and prejudice and separation, like these false walls we build between each other, here it's based on race, but there are still those false walls, those false separations, that discrimination in other places. It's just based on other things. So there's that to consider as well. But I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Of course, also talking about guns, black people and guns. Black people in the first 6 months of 2020 have bought 58% more guns, and I'm talking about legal gun purchases, than they did in the previous year. Could it be because of the atmosphere that we are in? You know, for me, I've never been afraid of my own people. I've never felt like I'm going to go to North Philly or South Philly or West Philly or wherever and be shot. Like, I just never felt like that, right? But in the atmosphere that we're in now, I do feel like black people need to be prepared to defend themselves, because we are in a period of open racism, violent racism, virulent racism, the kind of racism that I have not seen in my lifetime. My ancestors have seen it. My elders have seen it, but I haven't seen it. And so seeing this now is like, okay, black people need to be prepared to defend themselves, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And especially given that we have this instability in terms of the leadership of the country, you don't know what this dude is going to have his followers do. You really don't. Like, and I'm not saying that to promote fear or panic or anything else. I'm just being honest that when you have instability in leadership, it leads to instability and insecurity in communities, especially the most vulnerable communities like ours. So I want to hear from you about that, too. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. And I think, Kuwaisa, the thing that gets me about America and gun violence is that the majority community, white people, will try to convince us that we're the ones who are violent, right? Will try to convince us that, like, black on black crime is a thing, right? And that we are the ones who are to be feared. We are the ones who are killing people for no reason. We are the ones who are engaging in just wanton violence. And it's not It's not necessarily true. I mean, this country, and somebody called earlier and said it, I thought it was an excellent point. This country was founded on violence, right? And it wasn't violence by us. This country was founded on violence of people who wanted to take what belonged to other people who wanted to take land from the Native Americans, people who wanted to take labor from African Americans, people who wanted to take sex from black women. Like, that's what it was founded. It was founded on violence. You understand? So this whole black people are violent, black people are to be feared. Nah, you're projecting. That's what that is. Kwesa, what do you think?
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I think the other thing that people need to understand too is, you know, the concept of black on black crime. It's all a farce, really, because you are going to, you know, impact violence on the people that you're around. So if there's a bunch of white folks around and you're white, it's going to be white on white crime. Like that's what it is. And so for people to, you know, project their racist ideologies and make it seem like we as a people, as black folks are more violent and we are these angry militant people, that's just, it's not true. Because when you look at the history of this country, you look at the history of white folks, and I'm not trying to be, you know, I mean, it's just the truth. The history of white people all over the world and in this country is such that they are just as violent as well. And so, you know, we really just need to make sure that when we are talking about that narrative, we're putting it in perspective.
That's right. That is absolutely right. And so I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. And when I say projecting, what that means is that you are trying to act like your behavior, right, is really somebody else's, when really it's you. So when the larger society, when white people in America call black people rapists, no, actually, you're the ones who are the rapists. Like that's, you know, that's what happened with African American women. And it's so interesting. We had the guy on to talk about the study that he did, and it was heartbreaking to hear it. It was really upsetting. You know what I mean? To hear some of the things that he was saying in terms of the large scale rape of black women by slave owners and those involved in slavery, right? And how you can see it in the DNA, how black women reproduced at a larger scale than black men, because they would work the black men to death or kill the black men so that the black men couldn't reproduce. And meanwhile, they were raping the African slaves, right? But then when you got into the period after slavery, Reconstruction, they had a whole narrative around how black men were rapists. Like, no, that's not what happened. That was y'all raping black women. Like that's, you know, and you can see it in the DNA. It's not even like you gotta, you know, make this up. No, this is what happened, right? And it's not just what happened based on the history. It's what happened based on the DNA. You can look at the DNA and see exactly what happened. And so, you know, projecting your own rapist tendencies onto black men, projecting your own violence onto black people, saying, no, black people are the ones who are violent. We need to be scared of it. Like, no, it's not really that. It's really the opposite. So we're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk with Roxanne Jones. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
The people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting fat paycheck except they're working. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staton Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staton, Executive Director of LESIT.
Are you hungry today? Have your taste buds been sufficiently pampered? Call Eatable Delights for succulent and juicy turkey wings, no-filler crab cakes, or tender smoky beef ribs. You can pick up curbside or get delivery in Philadelphia, Montgomery, South Jersey, Delaware, and Bucks County. Call 215-236-3900 or stop by 1540 Wadsworth Avenue. That's 215-236-3900 because even your taste buds deserve pampering. And tell them Solomon Jones sent you.
The coronavirus continues to affect us all, and AARP is here in Philadelphia, actively supporting you and your community. Every day, they're providing trusted information from experts, working to protect people from fraud, supporting family caregivers, and making it easier for neighbors to help neighbors through the new AARP Community Connections website. Learn what AARP is doing to connect and support our community during this unprecedented time. We may be apart, but we're not alone. Click to connect at aarp.org/near you.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Back by popular demand. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Continuation of the mistreatment of black women in the United States. When I think of Black Lives Matter, I'm not just thinking of police brutality. I'm thinking about a whole law enforcement system screaming for reform. You can't tell me he didn't know something, and even if he didn't, he should have.
And now, Roxanne Jones, live on Wake Up with Word.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. We're joined by Roxanne Jones. She's a former VP at ESPN, CNN opinion writer, Emmy-nominated producer, co-author of Say It Loud, an illustrated history of the black athlete, and CEO of the Push Marketing Group, a media strategy firm. Roxanne, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Great show. Great conversation.
Thank you. So you down with Blacks? You leaving? Well, you not here half the time anyway.
I've been on Blacks. I got a little money in my pocket. The Inquirer started paying me. I was like, oh, let me get to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, no, I think that I think that leaving the country for Black Americans, when you leave the United States and travel and spend like time, not 2 weeks or in a resort, when you actually go and try to live, I try to find families, that I can live with, whether it's somebody I met in the States or went to college with, or, I know them. I might not know the families, but I try to get a recommendation for real people because I want to, meet my people around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does change how your identity and your blackness, and how it makes you love yourself more, because what you'll find is a lot of similarities, to our culture here.
Yep.
Maybe things like, wow, I didn't know, what, you have black-eyed peas and rice too on New Year's? Well, where did that come from? And that's something that I found in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
They're not called the same thing, but it's exactly the same thing.
Wow.
You're always a Black American person. You can't go there and try to pretend like I've never gone to Africa or any place else. talking about I'm looking for my relatives in the motherland.
Yeah.
Because I don't have enough information to do that, and secondly, I think it's condescending. You know, it's ignorance. So I'm always just going to explore, but I'm a proud Black American too. You know, didn't start traveling because I hated my own country, or whatever. I just felt like God created me to be on this earth, and I'm going to be, you know, like traveling around the earth as much as I can, because it's a blessing to learn about this world that we live in and teach my kids and stuff. So for me, that's what it's about. But if you leave angry, I've had people who either come to stay with me in different places or travel with me, and they're angry and bitter in the United States, and they're angry and bitter in Costa Rica, they're angry and bitter in Zimbabwe, they're angry and bitter in Germany. Like, you just take it with you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true.
You got to be leaving for the right reasons. Like, you're not going to change your whole personality just because you stepped out of the U.S., because, in fact, you'll find out all the stuff you've been blaming other people for, well, that was you. That was you, because now you're
you
in a
preaching
different
now.
place. You know, like, this is what I said. I've had to send people home packing. Like, you know what? You're
you
back
got to
to
get
pack.
out.
Yeah, they're coming for you in the morning, so you just don't right on back to it.
Yeah, because you don't want that anger and bitterness around you. Like you know, it's corrosive. You don't want that.
It's corrosive. You don't want it. You don't want it where if you leave the country, you don't want it in the country. I don't want it in my house.
I know that's
Wherever
right.
that house is sitting, I don't want it in my house. So, but I think it's a great. There's nothing wrong with us trying to explore. Like when I was at the Inquiry, I didn't have much money, but they were offering. They didn't pay you. It was a buyout. I mean, it wasn't a buyout. It was a furlough or something. You didn't get paid, but you kept your job and your standing, whatever. So the first time we had that, I was like, what? 8 weeks? Let me get out of here, put my pennies together. But again, I stayed with families. So I'm looking for a nice Ghanaian family to adopt me.
Okay.
Because they're offering citizenship and some land. So I've never been there. I didn't know you had ever been there. So I'm definitely, if you know anybody, if anybody's listening, you know, you have to go through my background check and stuff. But I want to go. I want to go and do all this stuff, and I don't want to be a tourist in the tourist group doing it.
All right.
So
well, I'm gonna check with the people that I went with. This was 20 years ago, but they're still around and they are connected in Ghana. So I'm going to check with them.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
All right. So let's talk about what's going on here in sports, because Eagles coach Doug Peterson has tested positive for COVID-19. Some of the players have too. This on the heels of the Miami Marlins, who played in Philly, knowing some of the people in their clubhouse had tested positive. Here's my question to you, Roxanne. Is there any safe way to play sports in the age of coronavirus, including the NBA's bubble?
No. No, there's just not. And, you know, we keep talking about this. I keep saying the same thing. No. Because it's a reflection of, sports has always been, will always be a reflection of the attitudes and actions in our society at large, right? And so I don't know why we would expect athletes, coaches, team owners, they're human beings, to act any differently, you know, wear their mask all the time. Like, no. It's good. The virus, we don't even know exactly how it spreads. You know, we're using best science to try to figure that out. And if you do, it will tell you that putting, you know, a 53-man roster or however many people, and you can't even just look at the roster because it's not on the players. It's everybody who travels with them. Hundreds of people together in a closed environment will not protect you from the virus. That's just, and we see that, you know, it's not a guessing game. We see that. NBA players have the virus, football players have the virus, hockey players have the virus, coaches have the virus. You know, they're going to get it. And we just have to. I'm glad now that college players, did you see that they have now made a statement, the Pac-12 players? They have a list of demands that they put out through Players Tribune, which is owned by Derek Jeter, and they are saying they won't even take to the field. And they have listed demands for safety measures for COVID, and also breaking down systemic racism. They want things like insurance for 6 years after they get out of college, because they said 98% of us never make it to the pros. We get out with broken bodies, and we have to pay those medical costs. The school doesn't pay for it. That's how deep they're talking. They're like, we're not even stepping on the field anywhere in any sport until our demands are met. They want a 6-year, like to go to school for 6 years, because they said in the 4 years they're forced to focus on sports, and the schools don't care if they graduate. So they want 6 years.
Oh,
so
I love it.
love it.
matriculate and get their degrees. They've laid down some serious demands, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think that I love that the young people, they're doing even more than the people who are getting paid. But we have to remember, college people are being forced athletes to get to the field and play their sport for free, just to make the billions of dollars for the schools.
Yeah, it's crazy, and
it.
I think that it's time for our athletes to do that, because one of the things that I saw when I was in school, like, you had athletes and they were just there to play sports. They didn't understand that, no, you better get your education, because you're not going into the pros. You better get your education stop having a white girl do your homework.
Yeah, listen, I was a tutor. Well, at Penn State, I was a tutor because I got paid. I'm on my college work study. I'm like, let me make my little money. But and it was really funny because I would always want to tutor black people. A lot of them were played on the football team, or wherever I could find black and brown. Like, look, we got to get through this together. Yeah. We can. And their heads were pumped up with so much stuff. And so some of the stuff I would say to them is, like, drop this phys ed class and go take meteorology. Go take something business, something where if your knee blows out tomorrow.
That's right.
Not in practice, not even in a game. And you need to, get a job. You actually have some skills, that are employable.
Right.
Don't listen to these people pumping your head up, talking about you're the next Tony Dorsett, whatever. I mean, no. So it's not. I think that, and Penn State had a really kind of cool enclave of black athletes, mainly football and track, that were like activist-minded, probably because a lot of them were from Philly, around Philly area. But now I think that they have evolved so much because of the pandemic, because of Black Lives Matter, because they've seen a different world and they understand, like, this racism is no joke, and they're coming for us.
That's right.
And so now they are laying down their demands, and the demands were so smart. And they revealed a lot of things, like, the players are saying, look, if they come down, when they come down with COVID, like we've been seeing them, the college athletes, they have to pay out-of-pocket expenses. They might have some little insurance, but as you know, even to go get the test, they try to jack you up with all these out-of-pocket expenses. If you have insurance, you could still owe thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So the players and their families are responsible for that, and they're like, we're not having that.
I love it.
No,
I love that.
Covered.
I love that the players are standing up and saying, now you're talking about risking our lives. That,
Exactly.
So I love
and want us to play.
Yep.
They want to share the profits too. So so I think that athletes understand that they are. I think that they're being guinea pigs, right? It's an individual choice whether you want to. I know LeBron is all for playing and all that stuff, and it's in their blood, and that's what they do. And nobody wants to sit at home doing nothing, right? All of us want to get back to work to keep our minds healthy, our bodies healthy. So I'm not begrudging anyone that. I just think we should be realistic. We need to prepare ourselves. People are going to start dying. It's no different than anybody else in society.
Yep, absolutely. So let's talk about black women, because they're being considered as VP candidates for Joe Biden, including Representative Karen Bass, former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, former National Security Advisor Susan Rice. I'd throw in also Kamala Harris from California.
I've heard Atlanta Mayor Keisha.
Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, absolutely. So do you think that the black women being considered are facing undue criticism because they are black and they are women?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, what criticism did we hear about Amy Klobuchar or Elizabeth Warren? None. Like, it was, if we heard the criticism, it was about their agenda, right? There were. Amy's, and I'm not saying there wasn't some sexism. We can't ever erase that, like that they were mean or, but it wasn't as deep as the nonsense that people, that journalists said. I'm like, what? Did you really write that? Camilla can't be considered because nobody likes her and she's mean? What?
Wow.
I mean, did anybody write this about Trump?
No, he's mean too.
Did anybody? He's just ignorant. He's all things. And nobody ever called him out. CNN didn't call him out. Nobody called him out. They just acted like he was a respectable, rich businessman, which we all know was a bunch of malarkey. So yes. I mean, I think that I'm blaming journalism. You know, we can look at social media, but I think that social media is following in this case because they don't know Kamala or Mayor Bottoms. They don't really know them if not for the media stories that have been written or the TV, you know, how they were interviewed on television. So I think, as we know, media is biased and racist. And there is the image of black women in media is, you know, what we're dealing with now, our dehumanization, stereotyping us, never acting like we're good enough, having to jump through many, many tests that nobody else goes through. And I think part of that is what twisted up Kamala because she didn't know how to play it. You know, she didn't know if she could be like her super smart, very aggressive, assertive, knows her stuff. Could she roll in her neck? Because that's how she is when you talk to her. She didn't know if she could come out like that. She was afraid to come out like that, who she truly is, because she knew how the media would play it. And then she danced around everything, and we didn't know what to think, you know? So, yes, I do think that the media coverage has been extremely misogynistic, or I could say misogynoir, against the black women who are running. And it is our job to not get caught up in that nonsense, to not be using words like, oh, she's mean, oh, she can't get along with people. You know, people say that stuff about me. I'm like, really? Because you don't even know me. But now I am going to be mean. You know, like, what?
Oh, you want to see mean? Here it is.
You think right, exactly. I'm mean because I'm comedy. You know, we know how this whole thing plays out. So I think that all of that stuff is, and we have to remember, why is this happening? Why would mainstream media be writing, and, you know, the Washington Post, all these people be writing, describing these women in this way? Because they're afraid of us. Because they're afraid of our power. They are afraid of our power, and they know good and darn well if Joe Biden, who we're not really, you know, jumping for joy over, if he connects with a black woman, then that power, then that's it. That's what he needs to do.
So let me ask you this, Roxanne. First of all, do you think he's going to pick a black woman? And if so, who do you think it would be?
Okay, here's the thing. That's a hard question, Solomon, because you know what? I don't have confidence in white people right now. I don't have confidence in the white power structure, I will say. And so I am not even willing to put any personal confidence in it. I don't know what Joe is going to do. I know what he should do. I know who he owes his whole campaign to, not only this time, but when he was with Barack. It's black voters. That's plain and simple. So I know what he should do, and I also think it would be politically savvy because out of all the pundits, you know, everyone's, well, it used to be you pick somebody on the ticket who can bring a state. You know, if you can't get the Midwest, right, you can't get Ohio, the swing state, right. You know, that has gone out the window when Trump came in and just blew away everybody with electoral college. Like, that's not. And Joe Biden has been around since the dust. So he already, to me, he's very moderate. He might be swinging a little bit to the left right now, but he's very moderate, and he feels like a Midwest person to me. I mean, he's not from a city. He's not from Chicago. He's not from Philly. You know, he feels like, you know, Pennsylvania coal miner kind of, you know, mentality. I mean, not quote steel mill mentality. But I don't know what he's going to do. If he listens to advisors, depending on who's on his ear, he'll pick one of the not only are there black women to consider, but they're the best candidates with the best experience. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to pick some dreg who's been, mayor of a real small city? You know, somebody who's white and brings nothing to the table? So, you know, like, I don't know. I'm just matching, like, resume per resume. I haven't really seen anybody standing out on the other side, but I don't trust it. Right? Because I think too many times we're asked to go on emotion and what's right but we have to be more strategic about it.
Okay. All right. I want to get to this last thing before we go. Now we only got about a minute, but the Republican National Committee has decided to hold a convention without reporters after Trump's battle with mainstream media, plus his announcements that he wanted to ban TikTok and rein in social media Is the First Amendment guarantee of a free press dead in the GOP? And why does it matter? What do you think? We got a minute, Roxanne.
Okay. Yes, I think it is dead, and I think that Trump has been trying to, with all of his hate toward the media and fake media, I think that was always his goal, is to kind of push media to the side and have a safe place for him where he didn't have to be criticized or even observed by media, right? That's where he operates best in darkness. The reason that it's important is because this man is changing the fabric of the democracy and of our country and affecting our lives every day. So if we don't know that he's doing that behind closed doors, and remember, he's still trying to get a Supreme Court justice put in. Every time Ruth goes to the hospital, he's like got his list ready, and they're ready to push it through. And so if we don't know about those things, that's not something we can learn on social media, on Twitter. Somebody has to be watching this man, and the only people who can do that, who have, the clearance to do that, is media. And so if we want to lose that, we might as well all just give in to ignorance, and that's why it's important.
All right. That is CNN commentator Roxanne Jones. She is a former VP at ESPN, Emmy-nominated producer, co-author of Say It Loud, an illustrated history of the black athlete, and CEO of the Push Marketing Group, a media strategy firm. Roxanne, thanks so much.
Thank you, Solomon. And if I had to put money in, I would say the mayor of Atlanta. I really like Mayor Bottoms.
Keisha Lance Bottoms.
On
Okay.
the ticket.
All right. Sounds good. We're going to go to break. You have a good week. We're going to talk with Alan Cross. He's an author and a pastor for over 20 years in churches across the South and California. He's got a new book, When Heaven and Earth Collide, Racism, Southern Evangelicals, and the Better Way of Jesus. We're going to talk to him on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Halana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
This is Word Radio, independent black media.
This is Kelvin Jeremiah, President and CEO of the Philadelphia Housing Authority. At PHA, we remain dedicated to serving our more than 80,000 residents during these challenging times. We have been providing masks to all PHA residents and access to healthy meals for kids. Our offices are closed to keep everyone safe, but residents can pay their rent online at pha.phila.gov. The Philadelphia Housing Authority is opening doors to opportunities.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. I want to welcome you back to the show. Joining us now is Alan Cross. He's been a pastor and minister for over 20 years in churches in Alabama, Mississippi, and California. He's got a book called When Heaven and Earth Collide, Racism, Southern Evangelicals, and the Better Way of Jesus. Pastor Cross, welcome to the show.
Hey, Solomon, glad to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Yep, absolutely. So, my wife actually saw a story about your book and about your background. You came up in Southern Baptist Church, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
So, what was your experience there? What did you learn in that church, in that culture?
Well, I learned about Jesus. I learned about a salvation through Christ. I learned about my own sin and my need for salvation, and learned about the call to love others. So those were all positive things. Those were good things.
Sure.
The Bible being important and that being our guide. But it was in the 1980s and 90s when I was growing up, and I was in a small town in South Mississippi where I grew up, and went to school with black people, but went to church, and it was all white people all the time. And it didn't take long to realize there was a disconnect between what I experienced at school and in life, and then what happened in church. And so start asking questions about why are we still so separated when we say that we've solved this, And I didn't get a lot of good answers on that, except for, well, it's just the way things are, and you have to understand, that people have their own preferences and they go their own ways, and that didn't fit with what I saw in the Bible and with the way that I saw God calling us to live. So I had questions begin to emerge at that point.
Mm-hmm. And so as these questions emerge and you're asking these questions, what did you see in the answers, and especially as you compared it to what you were reading in Scripture?
Right. Well, I grew up in Mississippi. I went to college in Mississippi State, went to seminary out in California, then came to Montgomery, Alabama, to pastor, to work in a church there as an associate pastor, and then became senior pastor. And Montgomery, Alabama was the first capital of the Confederacy. It was the major slave market in the South by the time of the Civil War, of course, it has that history. And then, of course, it was the birthplace of the Civil Rights Movement 100 years later. And so you have this history swirling all around you as a pastor. The church that I came to pastor was an all-white church at the time, in the midst of a very diverse city. And so I'm seeing in Scripture where the gospel is for all people, and you have people of all backgrounds and races, of ethnicities responding to the message of the gospel of God's love, for all people. And then in our churches, again, we were still separate. So I was taught as a young man that that's the way things were, and that's just what people did, and we just kind of went our own ways, and then we all learned better, and now no one's racist. That's what I was told, and so that was all in the past. But then you look around, and things are still separate, and we still have all these issues, and so I just began to compare what I saw in Scripture with what my present situation was, and so I wanted to understand better, instead of just the idea that, well, racism was in the past, and so now any problems that we have are just because people, don't want to live right, or they just want something, or they're just bringing up trouble. That was a lot of what white people said in the South, especially at the time. I said, well, that answer doesn't work. There has to be more to this, and so I just began to dig in history. I have a history background. That's my what I went to college for, to teach history, and so I just began to dig, and I wanted to understand, where did racism come from? Why did the separation happen? Why were the churches complicit? The white churches, and how do they foster this? And how do we come out of it? If we got into it, how do we get out of it? So those were the questions that kind of took me into my study as a pastor, and that's what led me to writing the book.
Mm-hmm. So, did you bring this up to your congregation about the fact that, okay, this is a diverse city, we're all white, we need to diversify? Did you bring this up to people in your congregation, and if so, what was the response?
Yeah, absolutely, I did. I said we can't be a white colony in the midst of a city, that has people of all races. The gospel has to be for all people. The theologian Scott McKnight said that the gospel you preach produces the church you have, and I told my church, I said, if we're an all white church in a city, the people of many ethnicities and races, especially in a city with a historic black-white divide like Montgomery, Alabama, then that means we're preaching a white gospel, and that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We can't just appeal to our own racial interests and have a church that produces that. And people understood, they agreed, and so as I was doing this research in the late 2000s and early 2010s, I still know what we call those decades, right? But just trying to work through this, my church was supportive in the research I was doing, and I really explored the Freedom Riders when they came to Montgomery in 1961, and there was a mob of people who met them and beat them. We just recognized John Lewis, and of course he was a leader in that. And what happened? So researched that, met people who were there in the church at First Baptist Church on Ripley Street as a mob of 3,000 white people surrounded about 1,500 black people inside the church, trying to burn it down around them. And that question: how could this happen in a city full of churches where people claim to be followers of Jesus? And why didn't white Christians step up and say, "Stop! This has to stop"? And sadly, white Christians were in the mob, or people who claim to be Christians. And so I had to unpack all that, because you can't just say that happened and then act like it doesn't matter. There's still wounds, there's still divisions. And so I had to unpack all that, and I had to say, well, that's not who Jesus is. That's not what he calls us to do. And so there was a massive failure in the white church. And I used to say, Solomon, I used to say, because I was coming from a white-centered perspective, as a white man, that, well, the church failed. And then I realized, well, the church didn't fail. The black church didn't fail. They got it right. They were telling us what was wrong, and we, as white Christians, weren't listening. And so, the divisions that we have to this day are because we didn't get it right back then, and because we haven't gotten it right in many cases since. And so, the better way of Jesus, the problem that I discovered, and this is the way that I taught my church, and by the time I left as a senior pastor, which was in late 2015, the church had gone from being all white to having people of many ethnicities, and black and white, and people were coming from the neighborhood, because we shifted, or at least in the emphasis, from trying to promote, protect, and defend our way of life. That was the focus that so many of us end up falling into, which I think is the core issue underneath racism, protecting your way of life, and then it manifests racially. But then the shift that we called for was sacrificial love. How do we love others sacrificially? How do we hear what they're going through? How do we lay down our life for others? And as we began to take that on, we started seeing some amazing things happen. With reconciliation and with actually listening instead of just trying to defend our perspective, and hearing from others. And so it ended up being good.
Well, given that racism is really tied up in the church in many ways, unfortunately, and I say that as a Christian. So when you see that, I would imagine that there was some pushback, as I've seen, as we've talked about racial reconciliation within the church. What kind of pushback did you experience?
Yeah, it isn't direct, right? Because if people say, well, I don't agree with your message against racism, well, then you're racist. And so people don't do it that way. The pushback comes where they say, well, I think you're making too much of this, or we've already solved that, or why are you bringing this up? We have other issues we need to deal with. And then it comes in just animosity, or there's something else that and this is what white pastors who address this always have to deal with. You might not get pushback directly on that issue because people are kind of trained to be real careful, but it'll come in other ways, and it'll come in, well, I don't agree with your leadership on the budget, or I don't, and it begins to grow, and I did see some of that. I did see, there were some folks who weren't as friendly towards me as they had been before, or who thought I was kind of, just a bit of, well, he's stirring stuff up. Why is he stirring this up? And this was all, the book came out in early 2014, so it was all written before before Ferguson, before Baltimore, before the events that kind of sparked the epic that we're in now. And so I was looking back saying, hey, we should learn lessons from the past so we don't repeat these things, and so we can, build these bridges for our reconciliation for our city and for people. And, we were doing, all types of things in schools, and we were doing outreach, and we were working in the neighborhoods, and, there were really good things happening. And I wanted to go further into that and, how do we solve some of this stuff? So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question that you asked a little bit earlier about, a white mob surrounding a church and white Christians being in that mob, and why didn't Christians do anything about it? Why didn't white Christians do anything about it? What is the answer that you've come to on that question?
Yeah, they had a whole, they had developed over a couple hundred years. I mean, I'm a white Southerner. I trace ancestry back, to the 1700s. My ancestors fought for the Confederacy in the Civil War. I mean, I came out of that, out of that legacy, and there was a whole system, there was a whole culture built around protecting racial identity as the marker of who's in control and who's not, who has power and who is underneath them. And so that was being threatened. When John Lewis, came into Montgomery on the bus from Birmingham in 1961 with the other freedom riders, they were trying to desegregate the interstate busing system. And so that whole way of life, that whole system that had been developed that people found their identity in and their worth and their value in was being threatened. And they were called outside agitators. They were called communists. They were considered to be threats. And it wasn't considered that they were actually fellow Christians who were working from what the Bible said about how people should be treated. That wasn't, that was disregarded as liberal theology, as Marxism, as all of these things. So really, a lot of the same things that we hear are being said now, for people, asking for justice. And so they were very, very afraid. And it just shows how fragile that society was, that 21 people, 22 people riding on a bus, sitting next to each other on a bus could cause the whole system to topple. And so they rose up in anger and frustration. And white Christians who weren't in the mob, because you had the white moderate, as Dr. King talked about in letter from Birmingham jail,
right.
The white moderate just kind of wanted to keep the status quo. It's like, okay, well, let's not engage in violence, but let's not move too fast. It's a bad timing and all this, because they didn't really want things to change either. And so it was fear. It was fear of change and fear of seeing black people as fellow Americans on equal status, because it was like kind of a zero-sum game for them. If black people had rights and privileges and they had the same status as white people, then they thought they were losing something instead of gaining something. And it was a really bad worldview. That was ultimately very unchristian, very not what the Bible teaches.
So when you saw more recently what happened with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and so many others, especially George Floyd, because I think that's the one that everybody kind of saw and reacted to. What was your reaction?
Yeah, obviously it was horrendous. We've, seen these things happen, for a while now. In Montgomery, a few years ago, there was a murder that was just as horrendous, if not more. A man named Greg Gunn was walking home in West Montgomery, which is a historically black neighborhood, and he was walking home at night, and a white police officer came up alongside of him and asked him questions. And Greg was 56 years old. He became afraid, and he ran. And the white police officer chased him down and shot him 5 times in the back and the side. And he fell into the yard next to his house crying for his mother and died there in the yard. I had left my church at the time. I was working on behalf of immigrants across the South and advocating for them, because we had this whole issue with restricting immigrants or refugees, but then working with our local Baptist association. So I went with a couple of African American ministers to the house a couple of days later, and went to the neighborhood and heard the whole story, and met with his mother and prayed with her, and just saw the community just in turmoil over what happened. And so experience. And that white police officer, he was arrested, he was indicted, he was just charged. Oh, he was just sentenced for murder back last November, and so the city really handled it well. There wasn't outrage. It's the worst story that no one in America has heard of, and you can look up Greg Gunn. It was just absolute murder. It was horrendous, but it didn't make the national news because the community came together. The black ministers worked with the police chief and the city leaders, and they called for justice, and justice happened right away. And so I was in the middle of that, trying to minister, and trying to help, call for justice and hand out peace as well. And so that event really, that was 2016 or 17, I'm forgetting exactly which year, but that kind of framed my thinking about how these things happen. And I'd been following those stories ever since. And so when this came up again, it wasn't in the South. It was up north where, supposedly the problems aren't the same as they are where I'm from, but just a horrendous thing that needs to be dealt with, and these ideas work their way into police departments, and this idea of fear of the other and protect our way of life, and we have to make sure that those people don't affect us, those horrendous views, and so it metastasizes and it produces violence, and it has to stop.
So we're getting ready to. We only have maybe a minute left, but what was the response of some of your fellow white pastors to your book and to your views on race?
The people who don't want to talk to you about it don't, and so they go the other way. But I've had a lot of people who have received it. I've had very large churches in the South that have brought me in to speak on the book. And, whenever you say racism, everybody's racist, people pull back because they don't want to be that way. They don't know how to process that. Whenever you say, what you're doing is you're trying to promote, protect, and defend your way of life, and the way out of it is sacrificial love, people say, okay, I can understand that. You're right. That is what I'm doing. I'm fearful. I'm trying to protect myself. And the way out is the problem.
But what is that way of life? I mean, is that way of life white supremacy? What is it?
Yeah, it's exalting myself over others, and it might play out racially, it might play out with economics, it might play out with politics, it might play out with just kind of asserting yourself, So there are a lot of ways that it plays out, and race is definitely one of them. But the way out of that is loving your neighbor and laying down your life for others.
All right. Well, Alan Cross, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Hey, thanks for having me, Solomon.
All right. His book is When Heaven and Earth Collide, Racism, Southern Evangelicals, and the Better Way of Jesus. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to take your calls, 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939. Support independent black media and join the 4WORD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Part-time job, full-time hustle, all-time Shiro to all of us. You nurture, we listen. You teach, we thrive. You lift our spirits, but we've got to lay down the truth. It's time for you, our Shiro, to stretch for the stars. Start saving more for retirement now, so you can feel prepared and live your life to the fullest. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
A message brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Do you need health insurance for your children? The Children's Health Insurance Program, also known as CHIP, provides quality, affordable health insurance for Pennsylvania kids. CHIP ensures that kids can go to the doctor, receive health screenings and vaccines, and get what they need to live a healthy childhood. Families can be covered by CHIP no matter how much money they make. If you've experienced a recent change in employment or income, CHIP may be a good option for your family. Visit chipcoverspakids.com to apply or learn more.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent black media. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things that we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at FORWURD, FORWURD. That's FORWURD. We're talking about a number of things. Manhattan prosecutors asked the federal judge to dismiss President Donald Trump's lawsuit challenging a subpoena for his financial records. Yup, he's still trying to hide his taxes. Story number 2, Blacksit. A lot of black people leaving the country, saying that they can't deal with the racism, the prejudice, the stress. Would you engage in Blacksit? Would you leave the country to go live in Africa or the Caribbean or South America or somewhere where there are more black people? And, of course, story number 3, a sad story this morning. A 7-year-old boy shot in the head Saturday as 3 men waged a shootout in front of his West Philadelphia home. Died from his injuries Monday afternoon. Zamar Jones died, and 1 man, Christopher Linder, 27, is in custody. 2 more still on the run, and y'all need to turn yourselves in. You killed the kid. Turn yourself in. I want to hear from you, 215-634-8065. What do we do about the gun violence? What are you doing, and how can we do more? 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call. I'm going to go to the phone lines. Tony from University City's on line 1. Go ahead, Tony.
Hi, good morning. I think, the community has to do something about this gun violence. I think it's crazy. I was looking, I see Seth Williams, the former DA, is home.
Yeah, he's been home.
And, over the past few years while he was in office, he had picked up the case from the AG's office that prosecutor, Frank Fina, who came after that black judge on the Supreme Court. And I'm looking at, that was all a big thing that was connected with Corbett and that thing with Sandusky. And it's sad how they threw all those state reps and state legislators and that judge at traffic court under the bus. And it was all to keep that stuff at Penn State hidden under wraps. And it's, I hope the new DA looks into that, because that thing was a travesty.
You going back years, bruh. We talk about now. I mean, I hear you, but so what do you hope will happen? What is it that you're angling for?
Well, I'm looking. One of the cases that was a young black boy named Darren Manning, and he had a white female officer grab him by the testicles.
Yes.
And Seth went, and when they went to the grand jury, he had basically said that the young man didn't have no credibility, and the officers that did that were justified in squeezing his testicles.
Yeah, I remember that, but that was years ago. Sound like you got to axe the ground against Seth Williams. He didn't did his Tommy home. But I hear you, but, we talk about now. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. And I don't mean to be dismissive, but we got a kid that's 7 years old, man, that's dead. You know what I mean? And so I really, what are we going to do about that? I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. Of course, Man Up PHL. We will be doing our mentoring session tonight, and we'll be talking about that. But also other things that brothers can do, man, ways that you can make money, ways that you can succeed, ways that you can get out of the game, get off the street, get off the corner, man, and do something better with your life. We're going to be talking with Al Brown about how you can get into construction, how he succeeded in owning his own construction business in spite of all the barriers that have put in place regarding that. So we're going to be talking with him tonight at 6 o'clock about that. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Of course, people also weighing in on Facebook at Forward. That's FORWURD. That's FORWURD. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do actually have a couple of comments. Really, a lot of them, a lot of folks are really appreciative of Roxanne's commentary. I will say that I love the fact that Roxanne talks and comments with our listeners. That's great. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's actually really cool. But I do want to pull up a couple other comments as well. Arnold Thornton, another great show, Brother Solomon and Queen Kawesa. Thank you very much and have a blessed day. So that's one comment. That's there. Natasha Nettles, people just twisting the word to fit their agenda and trying to control black people. Sadly, that's why so many are miseducated when it comes to God. And I think that's why it's so important to have people like, Alan Cross, who are putting out, books like he's doing. And also he's leading a flock of people and trying to make sure that, people aren't twisting those words around. Walter Davis, Roxanne, excuse me, you always present truth and you are living proof. Appreciate you. And God bless. Geraldine Mayfield is just saying, have a blessed day, everyone, and be safe. You too. Thank you so much for tuning in. And then Walter Davis is also saying, I think talking about Biden, he owes his former boss, President Obama, and especially our country ambassador, Susan Rice. She's brilliant and knows the global dynamics and politics. So that's another comment as well.
All right. So if you want to call in, you could certainly do that at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show, including Blacksit, right? So Blacksit is a thing where you got black people like, you know what, I'm leaving America because of the racism and the prejudice and the stress that it causes. And, moving to places like Africa or the Caribbean or other places like that. Would you leave? Would you engage in Blacksit? I want to know what you think about that. You can give us a call, 215-634-8065. In the first 6 months of 2020, black people bought 58% more guns than in the previous year during the same time period. Why? Why do you think that is? I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in. I'm going to go to the phone lines. Sister Murray is on line 2. Go ahead, Sister Murray.
And they say.
Go ahead, Sister Murray.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Good.
Listen, let me tell you something. Hear me out. This is the United States of America. We will not leave this plantation, okay? We have built, we own this, we will continue to build, and why will we go someplace where everybody's trying to come to? This is the United States of America. Everybody, your president, number 45, trying to build up a wall, okay, to keep people out. Now, why would we run somewhere else where we don't belong? We can visit, and I tell you, my husband just came from Africa. He went to WRD to all these countries. Listen, you stay where you are, you build where you are, and you continue to build. The only ones who are not building is those who are not trying to grow. And that means because the older people are dying, the younger people are taking over their properties. They can't keep it up. They're not paying the taxes, and they're letting it run down because they're living free. So you stay where you are, because we know in Mount Airy, Germantown, all these properties there, if you want to go buy a row house, you can't even afford it now because it's so high. So stay where you are. We're not going to allow nobody to come here and dictate to us where we need to go and where we need to recreate ourselves.
Well, I think people are leaving because they want to. Nobody's dictating to them anything. People are leaving because they want to. They're tired of the racism.
If you want to go, then you go. But it's racism everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go anywhere. You can go to the supermarket and you can see racism.
Yeah, that's true. And I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD radio. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD radio. Kawesa, is Donald Trump ever going to show his taxes? What do you think?
I mean, no, it would have to be a court order, and he would fight that tooth and nail, like he's doing now. Yeah. Just like he's doing now. And so I don't think he's willingly going to offer up anything in regards to his financial situation. Not at all.
Yeah. It's a mess. It's a mess. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he leaves office, because they are certainly investigating him at the state level in New York. Nothing he can do about that. He can't fire the prosecutor. He can't, you know, it's not federal. So they are certainly coming after his taxes. And, you know, for the life of me, why are you hiding your taxes? You know what I mean? If they said today, Solomon, we want to see your taxes, I would have to show them. I would have to show them. Ain't no whole lot of, I'm not going, you know, if they said today, Kawesa, we want to see your taxes, you're going to have to show them. Like, what makes him any different? What makes you above the law? What makes you, you know, some kind of super citizen where you don't have to do the same things that everybody else have to do? This is crazy, man. And what we are seeing is literally the dismantling of democracy before our eyes. I think that we have to realize that. And young people, he trying to take TikTok. That's all I got to say. He trying to take TikTok. If that ain't enough to make you vote, you know, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Y'all the ones on there doing these little videos. And the videos are nice. They cute, you know, whatever. But is that going to convince young people to vote, Kawesa?
No,
it's not. TikTok?
No.
No.
But they are cute videos. But, yeah, no.
It's not going to work?
It's not going to work.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I thought I'd give it a try. I want to hear from you. We got about a minute left. If you want to call in, you could certainly do that. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And of course, tonight we're going to be doing another of our mentoring sessions with Man Up PHL, talking about the issue of gun violence and offering some alternatives. Brother Al Brown, as well as another brother who owns his own construction company, is going to be joining us tonight to talk about how you can get into that. There's always another way, always a way out, and we are going to be talking about that tonight. So we look forward to you joining us at 6 o'clock as we do that on Facebook at Man Up PHL. And of course, that is going to do it for today's show. We appreciate each and every one of you. We appreciate all of our guests as well. And I want to thank them. Clinical psychologist, Dr. Ayo Marie Gooden, Dr. Delana Wardlaw, and Dr. Elena McDonald, CNN commentator Roxanne Jones, and pastor and author Alan Cross. And now, for super producer Kawesa Matheson, everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for Reality Check with Charles Ellison, and tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed.